This is S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the real issues involving paranormal and current events, coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. We also cover topics such as disaster and terrorist response and preparation and veterans issues as appropriate. So, tonight, it's the 22nd of March, and I'm sorry, folks, it just feels so apocalyptic, seriously, regardless whether you feel it's flu or whether you understand the seriousness of the situation. Tonight, we are discussing the current situation and updates for the first hour, and then paranormal in general, from Bigfoot and spirits to aliens, with Mike Crow and Barry Gaunt, and now Eric Mitchell. So, Mike is I've got to think here. So Mike Crow is from Myth Chasers Investigation Group out of Kentucky. He's had experiences of every variety, so it's going to be a great round. It's going to be great when we talk about everything. And, of course, you all know Barry Gaunt from the Kentucky MUFON. He's the MUFON director and host of Into the Fire radio show. And he's also got Eric Mitchell, his co-host. So tonight with us, as I just said, we have Cole Wegleitner, Kayla Wegleitner, Jalen Wegleitner, Mike Crow, the investigator of Myth Chasers, and Barry Gaunt and Eric Mitchell from Into the Fire and Kentucky MUFON. So how are we all doing tonight, guys?
Perfect. Hey, we're doing great. I got to give a shout out to Night Stalkers Paranormal too. I also have that group too, so I got to give them a shout out. So
excellent.
But
good.
So how's everybody doing tonight? We all got our little masks on, and we're all sitting here like going, I'm pushing Eric away. I'm like going 6 feet, brother, 6 feet, man.
Right. Yeah, but I have.
They don't get that. They don't understand 6 feet. We've got, oh my God, it's spring break. Oh my God, the school's closed down. I got to take my kids on vacation. Yeah, really, folks? No, it's time for isolation. You stay the hell home. If you have a yard, go gardening.
I will say, when I was 19 years old, if a girl took her top off at the beach, I wasn't staying 6 feet away.
Stay the hell off the beach.
Yeah. I found one with a seashell type top on, and when you pick them up and you hold them to your ear, you can actually hear them scream.
But I want to dispel some myths. So we're only talking, we talked coronavirus last week. We talked about it 3 weeks ago. We did aliens and whatnot, 2 weeks ago. But we want to switch it up because I know personally I'm tired of talking about coronavirus. I'm sick of it. But just stay home, folks. I got to say, Cole and I went to town, Friday?
Yeah.
For the last time.
Yep.
That was the last time to scrounge what we could. Because I'm sorry, but the shelves are pretty bare, depending on which store you go to.
I actually have to go tomorrow.
Really?
I don't have a choice. We need medication that we weren't allowed to get until now.
There's a pharmacy, though.
Yeah, it's a drive-through pharmacy, so I'm going there and
That's
coming
different.
back. Yeah.
But I even made the comment to you that it felt apocalyptic. It felt like we were shopping, and it's not that our shopping carts were overflowing with toilet paper. Oh my God, no! but I mean,
our shopping felt apocalyptic. The problem is the rest of Mount Vernon and
like
Burlington felt way too normal.
Absolutely. And even one of the store workers looked at me and like, it's only the flu, right? I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. And she said, no, really, it's only the flu. It's like, and I said, yeah, okay, whatever. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's why you're wiping down your machine every 30 seconds and wearing gloves and changing those out every,
No, it was grocery outlet. They weren't doing any of that.
Okay. All right. Makes sense.
So the other thing I see people panicking about besides that is, I don't see Joe in the chat room yet. I'm waiting for Joe to show up. But Joe sent me a video of a train in Oregon that was loaded with strikers, 5 tons, Humvees, National Guard, Reserve. Who cares, folks? They're here for public safety. They are here to run medical facilities. They are here to pass out food as needed. They are here for logistics, supply runs. And if they have to shut the damn border down because you ain't listening, they're going to shut the border down because you ain't listening. That's the bottom line. They're not here to go door to door killing people. And that seems to be the scenario everyone's got playing in their head.
Hey, Tim. Nice to see you.
Tim's in the chat room. So Tim wants to hear about cryptids. So we'll get to that second and third hour.
Yeah.
And I know Barry and Mike, you guys have tons of stories about cryptids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll try to keep them filled up.
Good. I want to know what Bigfoot thinks about coronavirus. I do.
He's a hard guest to get on here.
I know.
Hey, well, and I haven't seen any of him around lately, so he's staying at home in his cave somewhere or in another dimension. And he's like going, I ain't playing in this place.
He's following the social distancing.
He is social.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. He's social distancing. You like Bigfoot.
So now we're going to have interdimensional distancing. Right?
Interdimensional? Oh, yeah, you got that too. So, are you guys seeing any kind of National Guard activity in Kentucky?
We've seen some videos and everything else. People start getting panicky, when they start seeing trains with equipment on them, but people really don't know, because of the FEMA camp stuff. Everybody's like saying, okay, we're going to be FEMA, we're going to go here, we're going to go there.
Come on.
Military on the way in.
But they've been talking about FEMA camps for the last 30 freaking years.
Oh, exactly. But but see, all of a sudden they start buying into it when they start seeing this stuff move. But guess what? The National Guard moves stuff within states all the time on the highway, so they get to see that. But when the government moves stuff, it goes by rail, and it goes all over the place by rail, and it happens every day. It's not something that's just, and so you get one person to take a video of it, sees it, puts it out there, and it becomes the smash gigantic thing of going, hey, look what the military's doing. They're moving all this stuff. Well, they move it all the time via rail. That's how they do things.
And here's the deal. When we went to Iraq, we rail loaded our trucks on train from Fort Lewis, Washington State, all the way to Texas. So imagine all those rumors. I mean, we're talking a battalion worth of vehicles going by rail load across the country. Right now, Trump came out today and said he is activating thousands of National Guard and Reserve.
Right.
And a week and a half ago, Inslee, the state governor, activated the National Guard Reserve. It's not a surprise.
No.
And I want folks to understand, there are a lot of YouTube videos out there, and I'm one of the worst conspiracy theorists out there. I'm right there along with Barry and Eric. But this ain't a conspiracy. My opinion, the virus is natural. It's a natural caused virus. Coronavirus itself causes the common cold and has for years. This is a new strain of it. It's nothing to panic over. It is if you're going shopping and if you're going to the beach. You should be panicked. Stay home. That's all you got to do. Stay home. But so we have this preacher on YouTube talking about hundreds of all these military people and secret government people, and they talked to him, and then God talked to him and told him all these secrets. Folks, the military don't talk to civilians. I'm telling you that straight the hell up.
Neither does God.
No, well...
Well, they tell you to shut up sometimes, but that's when you get really good at it.
Right? But no, stop listening to these asshats on YouTube channels and on Facebook channels that are going to tell you, oh my God, you know what? I have a secret special forces. That's my favorite one. Everybody you talk to, yep, I used to be in special forces. Really? Okay, bye. You ain't talking to me. Some of my best friends actually were special forces and Rangers. So I kind of know the difference between mentality and attitude. And they can walk up to you and say, yep, I was special forces in 5th group, and yeah, okay, shut the hell up and yeah, go away. But they're not going to talk to civilians. They don't. If, the classified material I was told was a conspiracy shit, but the classified material I was told, I didn't talk to civilians about. My soldiers and I would talk about it, and I might talk to my significant other about it, but that would be it. I don't run up to some paranormal investigator or some preacher and tell him, you know what, I've got a whole bunch of secrets to tell you, and no, they don't do that. So cut the crap. Stop believing the hype. Stop believing the conspiracy crap.
Yeah, Kayla.
Yeah.
Hey now. You got to look at it from both sides to make an educated decision.
We are going to be talking a little bit because, Barry's got some theories. I want to hear them. And we'll discuss them logically. But Barry's not going to sit here and say, God told me, and, Lieutenant Colonel so-and-so told me. Yeah, okay, it don't work that way. And Barry, Barry, Mike, and Eric Mitchell know the difference between all that crap.
Well, I've worked with Bear for 7 years now, and I could have easily 2,000 to 3,000 times pointed out that he was lying to me.
Right.
But damn it, I wasn't educated enough to know that he was telling me the truth.
Yeah.
So yeah, the man's never. He's not gonna lie to anybody.
Well, the biggest thing about it is, and I appreciate that, Eric. And I put him in a bad situation a lot of times because
yes, you do, sir.
I let him have it with both guns, and I say, "Oh, are you sitting down?" But the biggest thing about it is, and Eric and I have been looking at this stuff pretty up close, and we're always big on anybody who wants to look at anything. You got to follow the money because everything's always involved with money, right? And this is just a theory. It's not. I'm not saying it's right. We're not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's something that no one's looking at.
It might be a stone's throw at the truth.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, it could be the silent gun that is not looked at and needs to be looked at.
Yeah.
But you know how the Ukraine thing went down,
Right.
and we've been involved with the Ukraine thing for a long time. The documents that originally came from Hillary to get Trump came out of there. Then you had all the stuff. You had the impeachment stuff, everything else going down the road. That didn't work out. And now, so we're looking into the virus, and what do we find out about Ukraine? Ukraine happens to be the only place that we can do bio research. The United States government set it up so that we can do bio research on what? Warfare products like coronavirus, like all the other viruses out there. All right. And what's really weird is that looking at it, you can actually follow the money trail and see that we've got the Bidens were involved in this. What was the name of that?
Hunter and Joe both. It was the Burisma oil. Burisma. I can't think of how they title that, but it's the Burisma Oil Company. They're also tied in with 7 biotech companies in the Ukraine that are American-based, and they're there because they're avoiding the Geneva Convention laws that are based here in America, which is kind of sneaky, but hey, that's what our government does.
Yeah.
Well, it's no different than us sending our Iraq prisoners and Taliban to Guantanamo so that we can avoid U.S. criminal code.
Exactly.
But why isn't? And why isn't? I have to say, and this sounds pretty profound, and my God, I can back it up with probably 60,000 people from where I'm from. I'm from Hot Springs, Arkansas. That's where the Clintons live. Bill Clinton did inhale. So did I.
Yeah.
I know a lot about those people. I actually managed a restaurant called Vino's Pizza. It started out in 1972 called Pop-In Pizza.
Okay.
And years later, I ended up managing this place. And a lot of people, because the guy that owned the place grew up with Bill Clinton. They were best friends, all through everything. So hearing all the stories from the family themselves, they would come there for family meetings and all kinds of stuff. And I used to sit with Dick Kelly. I don't know if you know who he is, but it's Bill Clinton's stepfather. And we would smoke Kojimar cigars. At the time, I couldn't afford them, so I thought it was great. I was like, wow, these are expensive. But he did in 2008. I'll never forget this because back then I was I wasn't educated on what was going on politically. I was just trying to run a restaurant for a living, take care of a family. So Dick Kelly announced to the family that he had stage 4 colon cancer, and she immediately interrupted the conversation of sorrow in the family to announce to the family that she was going to run for the 2016 election and win. Now, I was in that room, but I had no idea that this fake dossier was involved and all kinds of stuff. The same oil company that was involved in giving her that fake dossier is involved in giving a lot of money to these biotech companies in Ukraine.
Right.
Yeah.
So where do the Bidens fit into all that?
Hunter and Joe Biden, I think they profited about $50 million from that oil company.
Yeah.
And in a very short period of time, they're doing a lot of business.
Hey, when you know something else that's really odd too, when the impeachment came through the Senate, one Republican senator
was one Republican
that voted to impeach Trump, and that one Republican was Mitt Romney. And would you believe that Mitt Romney also is invested in that company?
Follow the money, like you said.
Follow the money.
Always follow the money.
Always follow the money.
So what do you guys think about this issue, 2 days ago, where, 3 Republican senators pulled their stocks?
That was a while.
No,
That was
then there was
12 involved, but
6 Democrats did.
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, Dianne Feinstein was one.
Yeah, but when you're looking at the amount of money that, and I love Feinstein's comment. It was like going, "Oh well, I don't make those decisions. They just do this." But that was $1.6 billion of stock that she transferred.
And wasn't it her whose husband works on Wall Street? Wasn't that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it was his decision. That's it.
It's a hell of
exactly.
It's a hell of a question for thinkers out there. But who owns the 6 major media companies in America that further own all the smaller media companies in America? It's the 4 oil companies that America has.
Yeah.
BP,
Disney.
the other 3. BP and the other 3, they own the media. And it's funny how a Ukrainian oil company is involved as well. I mean, if you step back and you look at the entire spider web, you'll be able to see that it's a catalyst it's an easy catalyst to understand. I mean, you just got to put it all together.
It did make me laugh that you brought up the Clintons. a little bit, just because I saw something the other day that made me like seriously laugh out loud.
I know enough about them to have me kill myself.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And this was, it says, coronavirus isn't Trump's fault. Ebola wasn't Obama's fault. Nor was SARS Bush's fault. And only a handful of herpes cases were Bill Clinton's fault.
Yeah.
That's not true. God. I think there's a lot more than a handful, my friend.
Yeah, but all we're doing is theorizing. We don't want Hillary to come looking for us in Kentucky. You know how it is.
Yeah, we can have a Clinton show sometime.
No. Well, I'd be okay with it if she came here. I'll just cough on her.
Yeah. No, I literally I ran a restaurant where these old people would come into the back room and they would watch horse races and say, "Do you remember when Billy did this? Do you remember when Billy did that?" So, meaning Billy, they were talking about Bill Clinton, you know, and those stories are the reason I have abs. It's not sit-ups, and I mean, it's like, oh my God, this guy was president.
Yeah, but hey, we've all through presidencies, everything else, we've seen it all.
Oh yeah,
and taking the Democratic and Republican out of it. Look, folks, we're all Americans, and we have a Constitution we live by, and we all do that. And God damn it, let's protect our Constitution.
Well, maybe
and all
the Department of Justice is trying to abolish the Constitution during this time.
I know. It's
one piece at a time until it's gone.
It's just like going, hey, but that's the big thing. And Eric mentioned the media playing off of it. And hell, I mean, it's just one thing after another. It's social conditioning. We got people going out and buying 1,000 things of toilet paper. You can't find dog food. You can't find anything. Everything on your shelf is stripped clean.
Takes a lot of oil to make toilet paper.
Right, and so, and I'm like going, the only reason why people are buying toilet paper in Kentucky is because the leaves aren't on the trees yet. Come on.
Well, like with the whole media thing, me and Kayla watched one of Trump's little media things in the morning.
Press.
A few days ago, press conference.
There you go.
Yeah, whatever.
Little media things.
It pretty much is. He didn't do it on Twitter this time. That was cool. But I'm not a Trump supporter. I don't agree with a lot of crap he's done. But what the media was doing to him in there was just insane. They didn't even care about what he was saying. They were just there to attack him.
Right.
Just strictly attacking. That's all they ever do, and that's all it is. I mean, for a sitting president to have the last 3.5 years that Porter guys had, I mean, golly, I mean, it's unprecedented.
It is
across the board. Media is never.
If he was the worst president in American history, he would get less than what he's getting.
Yeah.
He would. He'd literally get less than what he's getting. But I mean, there was an agenda going on. It's been that way for a very long time, and they're pissed that they're not able to execute what they wanted to execute.
Hey, man, I mean, it's just like going, he's not for the Illuminati, he's not for the other stuff, he's not the Bilderberg type, he's not that kind of thing, but, and everybody goes, well, he's rich, he's got money. Well, there's a ton of people in the United States there's a lot of people in the United States that's got money.
So much confusion. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to...
Do you really think he has that much money? I mean, he won't show his taxes.
I actually don't think.
I don't think he does.
Well, he can't show his taxes. I don't think he's paid him in 50 years.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
I think that's what kills me.
Well, after this year, I'm going to be in that league.
That's what kills me. I think the most with the whole Obama thing is Trump wasn't even a politician, but Trump was the biggest mouth over show your birth certificate, show your birth certificate, show your birth certificate, and he did.
Yeah.
And now everybody's saying show your tax statement. Oh, no, hell no. I'm not showing. You know what? You're going to beat other people up over showing their shit. Why don't you show yours? Unless you're hiding something.
Right.
Yeah. Well,
bottom line.
But
real estate in Las Vegas? Come on. I don't want to see that rap sheet.
yeah, that's exactly right.
Vegas is
Atlantic City too.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that nobody should touch from a president, and people have for him, and it pisses me off every time they do, is his kids. Okay?
Yeah.
They brought his kids into everything.
Yeah, but the issue is no one's
touched
him.
He's brought his kids into everything.
No one has touched his daughter more than him, okay?
Yeah. I'm talking more like the little dude.
The youngest one.
Yeah, Barron. Like, he's not even old enough to have
he's off limits.
Shit. No. Like, he shouldn't have been made fun of the way he was at the very beginning of this presidency.
Hi, Nikki. So tonight on we have Barry Gaunt, we have
Eric Mitchell, and we have Mike Crow. All three in Kentucky right now.
Yeah. Probably is, and the rest of us are in Washington, right?
Washington.
Yep. Everybody else is here in Washington. I want to bring up this funny comment. So Tim made a comment earlier about it's not the reptilians like David Icke said. You know what? I don't like David Icke.
Plus, it didn't start with reptiles. It started with mammals. It was bats.
I don't like, everything's reptilians. Oh my God, the Queen of Elizabeth is really a reptilian in disguise. The Clintons are reptilians.
Well, that's not a very good disguise. I'm just
but not everything is on the damn reptilians. Why do we always have to talk about reptilians? There's a whole lot of alien races out there that are worse than the damn reptilians. Come on now.
Tell you what,
I just have a thing about reptilians. They taste like chicken, and I just love them out here in Kentucky because they're running all over the place. And excuse me, I can't mute my mic tonight, so
I'm
dying of the virus. So hold on.
Oh, don't cough into the mic.
Don't cough into the mic, please. No.
Everybody cover your speakers.
See, this is a perfect example of social isolation.
Place.
Yeah, on the microphone.
Here, Bear. Here's some toilet paper. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hey, you guys got toilet paper?
Hey, wait. You got toilet paper? How do you find toilet paper?
Hey.
So we had Francie Miller on last week. She's our psych therapist. Even she couldn't completely understand the whole toilet paper thing, other than it's a security blanket for people. They think, I don't know, Cottonelle's not that soft, so I don't know about using it for a security blanket.
Oh, geez.
Oh, man. Tell you what, I'm over 30. That cheap stuff is terrible.
Hey, well, we're running into marathons. She's here just taking the big rolls.
Why do you think they closed all of the porta potties and stuff? No more toilet paper.
That's exactly.
Right. So, and that's the thing. I guess, for me, I go for food. I go for survival gear. But that comes from military training. I'm taught to survive this kind of crap.
That's right. You go to Taco Bell, you get a taco, and with your $1.59 taco, you got about 5 craps in there, right there. I mean, you've got toilet paper.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah,
hang up the burrito then.
Yeah, no, the burrito toilet paper ratio is not effective. No, sir.
The bidet only.
Somebody sent me a video of a guy who actually did the mathematics of, if you take all these toilet paper, and it's like going, I forget what it was, it's like 20 sheets per wipe. And if you have so many rolls of toilet paper, you'll have enough toilet paper for like 150 years.
Right? Unless you have teenage daughters.
Yes.
I'm just waiting, because as soon as this epidemic and everything is over, everything blows over, everything goes back to normal, however long it is. Then Charmin and all these other companies are never going to sell a roll of toilet paper again.
No, because everyone's got it all.
Right.
I'm just sending all these people buying toilet paper, and all these kids are out of school. How many teachers are standing at their door with a gun waiting for someone to TP their house? Like,
yeah, really.
Oh, no. That would be several thousands of dollars worth of wasted product right now.
Oh, there's a meme about that, actually.
Yeah, how many crackheads would be cleaning up their house for free?
Yeah. Hey, well, it's really bizarre, but I was telling Eric today, and I'm one of those older guys, so I think we've all become a bunch of weenies as we've gotten the government, the people in America, the humanity has changed so much. I remember going, hey, look, we were dealing with polio and all that other stuff, and you didn't see us shutting down the.
You don't shut down the planet over polio.
You don't shut down all the stuff that was happening and all the things that have happened. The Spanish flu, all this other stuff that we have gone through and seen, even coming, the viruses out there now, and the flu virus. I mean, it kills 10,000 people a year, right? So, and we're shutting down everything that's killed, 200 or 312 people now, and most of those people happen to be in the ages of over 60, and have medical problems. So, and I'm looking at myself going, hey, all the old folks are sitting around going, well, I know what's going to happen when they decide that if I get it, they're going to say, nope, you're going to die anyway, so we're going to give all the stuff to somebody else, so that's just the way it is. But
hell of a way to cut disability.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so that's the $1 million question. Why is this being treated differently than all the other pandemics that have come across? I mean, this hit the entire international community, but this ain't the first time.
Yeah, so, it's not the first time.
Three simple words that everybody would learn in the third grade. It's called a random nucleotide polymorphism. It's a genetically engineered substance only to target certain situations. Happens in nature all the time, especially if you screw with it in a lab.
Yeah, and that's what we do. We make biohazard stuff that we do. And here in Kentucky, and I don't think most people know about it. Mike probably knows about it. We have Bluegrass Army Depot. And what's one of the biggest things about Bluegrass Army Depot is that there's these little underground bunkers all over the place that store every hazmat material and every crazy stuff that is been used at wartime.
Well, one of the biggest storages of sarin gas.
Exactly, 100% right. So if you want to do something nasty, come on out here to Kentucky, because we've got some pretty nasty stuff under the ground here.
We got you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then and I'll even switch gears again. Let's look at the weird stuff that's happening that goes along with it. What about the earthquakes? What about all this other stuff that's happening out there? We had 5 earthquakes about a week ago, all in one day, all coming down the Appalachians, all in Kentucky, Tennessee, everything else, of course. And that's where you have the New Madrid Fault. And then you have this bizarre thing in Utah by Salt Lake, and we all know that. Guess what's close to there?
Skinwalker Ranch.
You got Skinwalker. You got the new Area 52, if you will, in Utah.
Dugway Proving Grounds.
Dugway, exactly. Yeah. And then
I missed my chance. I was supposed to go to Dugway Proving Grounds for BNOC. So in the Army, you've got PLDC for getting your E5. That's basic leadership school. Then you got BNOC, which is to make your E6. Which they got 2 phases. One's for more senior leadership. The other is for your specific job. So maintenance leaders go to Dugway Proving Grounds. That's where the school is, along with Area 52. But they sent me to the Warrior Transition Battalion instead of going to BNOC, and I got medically retired from there. But Dugway Proving Grounds.
Yeah, and also out in Colorado there, you've got an interesting thing. It's supposedly now they're talking about tunnels that go all the way to Dugway from
Denver International Airport.
Yeah, well, you got Denver and oh hell, why can't I think of the name of the damn place? What's in underground area in Colorado out of there?
Cheyenne Mountain.
Yeah, Cheyenne Mountain. Thank you. And
that's where NORAD is, isn't it?
Yeah, NORAD. So
there you go.
That's a bad word.
Yeah, there you go. But that's just think of all the stuff that happened, and I don't know if you're and Mike, you're here in Kentucky, but one thing we don't hear very much about is earthquakes here, even though they're happening. And I mean, it's
we
it's
had
pretty
fallen.
bizarre.
We had one not too long ago down around Bell County and one over in Somerset, but they're like tremors.
Yeah, they're like 2s and 3s, But when you start adding them together, and I started looking at the sites, back a while ago, and in 1 year in Kentucky, you're like going, how many earthquakes do you think we had that was like over a 2.0, and there was 217 of them.
Oh yeah,
dang.
And you go like, wow, I sure didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well,
yeah, that's kind of weird.
most married couples can't.
Right.
And that's what's interesting. So, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of Arso-Etis. Arso-Etis is a real-time disaster app that anytime something happens, I get a pop-up. And it's usually earthquakes, it's usually volcanoes, it's usually going by Arso, they've slowed down. Now every time it pops up, epidemic in China, epidemic in Korea, epidemic in the United States.
Not in North Korea. They don't got nothing.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Is that app sponsored by Prozac?
No. I'm trying to remember who does sponsor it.
Yeah, I'm just a business thinker, that's all.
Okay, so the other aspect that nobody's really hit on so far is we've been talking about the world's carbon footprint and how everything is going to go to shit if we don't fix this, if we don't fix this, if we don't fix this. Well, hey, social distancing, lack of being able to go anywhere, all of these other things, we've gone a good 2 years back in the amount of carbon and the amount of a carbon footprint that we are putting out now.
Yeah, the pollution's gone down.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Gas prices are going down.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just,
so how do we know that?
Okay, gas
part of
prices, though, that's a different issue there.
And that's barrel oil.
So the Canadian oil barrel is down below $6 now.
Yeah.
It hasn't hit that price since like 1950.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually a big, dangerous thing going on right now because that is part of what's collapsing our economy.
Oh, for
Right.
sure.
Yes.
And they are figuring out, a lot of people in Canada itself are figuring out how important that price of per barrel is. Because everything in Canada is collapsing around it.
But
Well,
I guess
you're right.
I guess what
That's
I'm
what
saying
it-
is, do you think that maybe some guy sitting out there somewhere, a little group of people, obviously, a group of people, exactly, going, see, we told you, we could reduce the carbon footprint, we could reduce this, we could reduce that by just doing these things. And look, because of this and because of the way that we acted during this, we can continue doing these type of steps.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you think about the collapse of the economy? Do you think this is going to collapse our economy?
Well,
That's what it's all about.
all the shelves are freaking empty. There's pretty much no
that.
economy at this point now anyways. Like, really, like, no one's buying anything.
No.
Nowhere near.
Nikki is saying in the net, and so just for your guys' information, Nikki is a psychic. She is a psychic we have on the show when we pull her in. According to her, in the next few years, expect many, many more earthquakes and volcanoes to go off.
Yeah,
she's
right. I
Thank
believe
you,
that
Nikki.
too.
We're right at the cusp of that year ending,
Oh,
okay?
God, yeah.
Because I'm sorry, but how many years are we past due for all these things.
Oh, we're way past.
So, I mean, at any point in the next couple of years, we should be experiencing these things that happen every 1,000 years or so, and we're right there, just past that 1,000-year mark on a lot of them.
It's okay. We are seeds to feed our families for many, many years.
Oh yeah, we do.
but look at some of the weird stuff that happens. You know, our infrastructure, bridges, everything else, way behind. Okay, earthquakes, everything else happens, and what's going to happen? We ain't going to be able to build that stuff back. Even this virus, you know what they're talking about doing, and I've heard it from a few people. Wait a minute. We're going to close off our state for people coming into your state and everything else. We're going to close down transportation between states. You know, so, okay, what's that do to the economy? What's that do to the things that are going on? And now, just here in Kentucky, and it's really funny, you know, retail stores, everything else, non-essential retail, gun sales, as of Monday at 8 o'clock, if you have a retail store, that sells anything other than food, gas, or liquor. Thank God they left the liquor stores open. Bourbon is flowing good in Kentucky.
Like ancient rivers.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to have something to cope with this stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, well,
I don't think anyone should be able to decide what's essential. The music store should stay open. God damn it!
You know what? I agree with you 100%. But guess what happens? You look at it and you go, well, where am I going to buy? If I need to buy a shirt and a pant or anything like that, where am I going to buy it from? Out your way, it's going to be Costco. Out our way, it's going to be Myers, or else you're going to get it from Walmart. You know, and so what happens is, and a long time ago, all the little businesses and all these little towns all suffered when a big major thing came into your neighborhood, and that was Walmart. But who still benefits from it being open because they're selling every product all under one place?
Well, now it's Google or Amazon.
Oh yeah,
or
Amazon.
Yeah, it's all going online.
Well, I think it's
so
about
now
time.
that the big guys are suffering, hey, we need to do something to bail them out.
So I think I'm going to throw a grenade into the middle of the floor here.
Okay.
Oh.
So the city of Bellingham, Washington, their mayor just put through an ordinance, which includes the fact that every gun store will close unless that gun store also sells non-essential or complete essential items.
Like Walmart.
They have to be, they will come into the stores of those stores and seize the weapons.
Oh my god!
It also allows them to seize all weapons in Bellingham if that weapon is being used or being viewed by the Bellingham PD to be used for harm against another human.
Oh, good God!
They can come into your homes and take your guns.
Wow!
Oh wow!
That ordinance is going through this week.
It won't pass.
It did.
It already
did.
It's been signed. It's an amendment to the ordinance is going through this week. This has
you're
already been
kidding
signed
me.
and
Oh my
passed
gosh.
About 2 weeks ago. Now.
Hallelujah! Welcome to the. Sorry, folks. Hey, we and I've got a permit to carry and everything else. And now they made, Kentucky is a state where you can actually carry without a permit as long as it's visible and outside. But, everywhere you go nowadays, from the shootings at Walmart and everything else, what do you see on all the doors? No weapons allowed. You cannot bring a weapon in anywhere. So they're trying to seal that off. But, I mean, if they put that through in Kentucky... there'd be an uprising. Same thing with Tennessee.
Arkansas, Mississippi.
Any southern state.
Any southern state. Yeah. You're very right about that.
That would be any southern state.
Really? Though half of it won't change because it'll still just be like social distancing.
Oh, it's okay.
All the ones with guns won't come out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They won't have anywhere to go.
Well, when I get the Browning out, or
I'm sorry, I'm gonna say
it's gonna be social distancing.
Give us your guns and get on this
no
train.
problem, man. You're dead.
It'll be all right. Just hand us your guns. We'll protect you. Now get on this train. It leads to this camp for you.
There you go.
I'm sorry, and not to sound rude, but if we have to rely on the law enforcement up here where we are, we're screwed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it takes 45 minutes on a good day without this pandemic crap going on for anybody
for a
to
sheriff
respond.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
For company, I already know I'm going to the room where the guillotine is right off the bat. So
here in the
they're not
South,
going to let me hang around.
Here in the South, if you know 3 people, if you have 3 people in your life and you got $50 in your pocket, you can own a gun that day.
Yeah.
That's just what we do.
See, here now, and I didn't realize they changed the policy, because it used to be you could walk in and get any long gun with no wait period.
Oh, no. Now it's all bolt action.
Now you got to have a bolt action, and you can walk out the store with it. If you get a semi-auto, you have to wait 10 days.
Yep.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yep. It is.
No, it's definitely.
And good evening, Christopher. We got Christopher in the chat room.
And Jennifer, a new listener. Thank you.
And Jennifer lives in Concrete.
Yeah.
She's local. So I always love seeing locals come to the chat room, because we, other than looking at my stats, I don't even see how many locals we have listening. So Jennifer, you are our first local listener in the chat room.
Now Irma pops in. And
Welcome, Jennifer. Hey, that's awesome.
It is. You know, and I get excited. I look at the stats each week, and I mean, we have listeners in Croatia, we have listeners in Chile, we have listeners now in Mexico. That's the first time, but we have listeners around the world. So it's really cool.
They're running out of tequila. It
is cool. That's one of the things that I like about watching the stuff that we do.
That's why I like having internet radio versus terrestrial. Terrestrial radio, you don't know how many listeners you got.
Right. Exactly.
So where do we think this is going? Because we have 15 minutes to talk about Corona, and then I really don't want to talk about Corona anymore.
To be honest, I think this is going to stay in your homes and don't leave, and then we're going to bring in people to tell us to stay in our homes and not to leave. I mean,
honestly, I think that's what needs to happen. It should have happened a week ago, and we would have been beyond this point. Partially.
China's getting over it.
Oh,
except
for their imported cases.
I have no problem staying home.
Staying at home is one thing, but man, let me tell you something. Here, you can't go to a restaurant and everything else. A lot of people out of work, a lot of things that are going on that work in the restaurant business. You can't go in and eat at a restaurant. They can get takeout service or something like that, but most people are going to the Taco Bells, the McDonald's, the BKs, and grabbing something there to eat or getting the pizza.
Hey, cheap food. Nobody's got money.
Right, exactly. And you're going to have less money when you start telling people to lay off. Don't come in. Lay off. If you don't feel good, you don't do this. But which is the way to be, man. Look, if you're not feeling good and you're sick, don't take it into your work. Don't go anywhere else. But thinking about just stay at home. But I have this thing in the back of my head that's kind of going, hey, this is a great way to test out, martial law.
Yeah.
Because basically what you're doing is you're putting the whole country on martial law. I mean, you're telling us what we can't do, what we can do, where we can go. And I mean, just like when you're saying, hey, by the way, you got to give your guns up and everything else. And if we see it as a threat, then we got to pull it. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in Washington right now because, I'm sorry, but don't come to my house and tell me you're going to take my guns because.
But from what I'm hearing, that's for people that are buying them now. So if you don't already have them,
anybody.
What?
Yep.
The one in Bellingham, that's anyone.
That is anyone.
If you are seen with a gun and the cop feels like you're going to hurt someone, he has the right to stop you immediately, take you home, grab the rest of your guns, and take them.
That ain't going to fly.
That's like going,
in the city of Bellingham, might.
Well, we don't live in the city.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is a city ordinance at this point.
Right.
So for them, they are what I like to call cupcakes, most of them, and so therefore it will fly for them.
I love it.
Well, here's the thing with cupcakes. Half of them don't know how to use their damn weapon anyway, so they shouldn't have it.
That's true. There are quite a few out there that do know how to.
There's a few.
And they are the ones that they're weekend gunners. They go off in the weekend and go hunting.
That's always been my complaint with. So I'm all pro. I am pro Second Amendment. Don't get me wrong, but what I'm against is any dumbass can walk into a store, never even seen one other than on a movie, and buy one. So now you've got some jackass that has a gun, going to shoot himself in the foot. Good luck loading it. Good luck charging it, and good luck firing it.
Yeah.
They need to have weapons education at a minimum as a requirement.
Yeah. And, luckily there for a while in Kentucky, we were going that way, especially if you were looking to permit to carry license. You had to go through an educational program. You had to fire your weapon. You had to shoot a target, hit so many times in a certain area within the silhouette. And all that, and tell you how to handle it, and you had to show that you could do it. As far as I'm concerned, I think that's great. But, plus in our area, and look, I was born in West Virginia, and man, we were raised around guns. We took them to school. I mean, we went squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting afterwards. We carried stuff back, but that's how the country has changed. I mean, I'm not saying I'm a super old guy, but I am an old guy, and I remember all those things, and we were taught to handle them. I remember being 12 years old shooting guns because my grandfather was one of those guys who traded everything for boot. I mean, he didn't really work. He would fix watches and clocks, and he'd trade stuff, so he'd get guns, he'd get clocks, he'd get all that stuff. That's how he made his money, and he would give it back, and he'd get boot for it, meaning, all right, I'll trade you this, but you give me $20. I'll give you this, and you give me whatever,
Yeah, the old school
and all the stuff you brought back, you're shooting it to make sure it's working, and everything else is cool, and in the backfield there, and but nowadays it's so much different than it was, But we learned respect for weapons and how to use them. Now most
here's the thing I will say about weaponry, though. No matter how many laws are passed on trying to get rid of them, no matter how many people are taking them or seizing them from your homes or any of this nature, there are alternative ways that people will get them if they want them. That's the way the world works. Is that, and then you have no idea who has what. You have no idea. You have no regulation. You have no. It can be any kind of weapon. Then you'd have people running around with AK-47s that have never fired a shotgun before.
Absolutely.
Okay, so no matter what ends up happening, gun rights aside,
AK-47.
People are going to get their weapons if they want them. That's just how it is.
Oh yeah, it's like the old saying goes: guns don't kill people; people kill people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can kill people without a gun.
That's right.
Barry,
absolutely.
Yes.
Barry, you were talking about you were trained.
Yeah.
When I was in school, in elementary school, the game wardens came around. We had conservation class twice a year. We were trained in gun safety.
Yes, exactly.
And that's
in the school than elementary school.
That's the difference between the South and here.
No, I know quite a few people who went through that up here too.
The South like they do, Yeah, that's
but
why
the
most
thing
people. Fear the South.
So our schools still have conservation class. They have a camp that they go to over the weekend in Washington.
But they're taught how to
the difference is now they go out to the woods, they identify some plants, they go eat kale and tofu, and they're not even allowed to learn how to start a fire.
This is absolutely true because my son was super excited about going to this what they call mountain camp. He was super excited, and then he went. He came back and he said, They didn't even have sausage for breakfast because it was all vegan food that they were giving us.
Oh my God.
I am starving to death. Can I have some meat?
Oh, God.
Jalen, how was mountain camp when you went?
It was pretty not cool.
Yeah, that's pretty sucked. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
well, here in the South, they do still have what is it called now? Hunter's education.
Yeah,
and
we have hunters education.
We have hunter's education, but it's
The classes are few and far behind.
It's hard to find.
Yeah.
They don't have enough. They don't have enough trainers. So it's hard.
It's
you
not
might
the real
find
deal.
a class once every 2 or 3 months. You can't find one. I took hunter safety when I was like 12.
Yeah. Well, the high school here where I'm at, has got a skeet shooting team. So I mean, how many high schools have a skeet shooting team?
That's because we all know about the movie Red Dawn.
That's right.
But the thing about that is it's not just guns, okay? It's not just guns. Like, in order to operate a motor vehicle, for instance, all you got to do is read a little book and take a test. Okay, right. You don't have to know how to change that tire. You don't know how to deal with a blowout if you get one. Any of the emergency parts of it. You don't need to know these things in order to operate it.
Nope. You take it to a shop.
Exactly.
Hey, well, it's kind of, I'm going to tell you something. I've been telling a lot of people this, and it's really, it's kind of off the base, but I'll say it anyway. Yep. We talk a lot about astral projection and everything else, and I said, hey, look, when you astral project, you leave your body. Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you do that, your body is kind of like that damn pickup truck I got out there. It doesn't do anything until I get in it to tell it to drive. So it's the same kind of deal,
Yeah.
It operates for me. Well, when your soul leaves your body and you come back and astral projecting or whatever, that shell is operating. Everything else operates on that basis. So it's like going, you got to take care of this stuff. You got to know what to do. You can't just go out and say, hey, I'm going to do this or that. I mean, and that's what a lot of people don't get into. They do not learn the way that,
Barry,
common sense.
What you're saying is absolutely correct, because weaponizing a gun and putting it in a fool's hand is very dangerous.
Yeah,
it's very dangerous.
Right.
But weaponizing a fool
is
now that's where you're going, right?
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
That is the hot spot.
There's lots of them.
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
I will say there are just as many educated people as there are uneducated people, and there's a lot of people that come from different backgrounds that not necessarily aren't educated because of where they come from.
Here's the difference: it's the educated fools that get the laws changed against those of us that are educated.
Nope,
absolutely.
Right.
All right, guys, we're gonna cut everyone off there. To reiterate the first hour, stay home and wash your freaking hands, people. So with that, we are going to go to our first break with a new song. Well, a song that you've heard quite a few times on this show. But here is Hell Within from Cryptamnesia.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4, folks. So we are done talking pandemic, other than wondering what Bigfoot's doing with pandemic and aliens and some spirits. So tonight we have Mike Crow of help me out here, Myth Chasers Investigations. We have Barry Gaunt, Kentucky MUFON, and Eric Mitchell with Barry Gaunt into the fire. So welcome back, guys. I'm sorry, I had a brain cramp there for a second.
Thank you. Waiting for hour number 2.
Say again.
Waiting for hour number 2.
Hey, so I got to ask you, Mike, tell us a little bit about Myth Chasers. What do you guys do?
Well, Myth Chasers has, I formed it about 3 years ago. The first thing we did was go chase after the solar eclipse, but in doing that, then at Hopkinsville, and I had an RV, needed a place to park it, and wound up at the Kelly Park down there. Not even thinking about the Kelly incident. Got down there, and Geraldine Sutton Smith was there, and I got into that, and I knew about that little thing from Reader's Digest when I was 14 years old or something. And, I thought it was a cute story, maybe some drunks or something. But getting to know Geraldine Sutton Smith, I found out it wasn't what it was. But I still didn't see any evidence about it. And so we took a trip out of the park over to where...
Sorry, just give us a second.
Hello?
All right, sorry, continue.
Over to where the house had stood, and we listened to Geraldine's story there and the guy that owned the property. And then on the way back, I'm sitting next to Geraldine, and she said, "Oh, we're going to go past the landing site." I'm going, "What? Landing site?" By golly, there is a huge oval there with a bit of impression and they had just bush hogged out the field to get the hay wagons back in there to take you over. And nothing had been disturbed for years, and that discoloration in the soil is still there. And I have a video of it pinned to the top of my Facebook page, Myth Chasers, if anybody wants to go look at it. But it's really interesting. And the closer I got to the center of that, the more pixelated it became. And so I tried to go back down there, but the property owner wouldn't let us get back on the site. But I hear it's for sale now, and the Little Green Man Festival is trying to buy it. So it may be open up again.
We got to go buy it. That's it. We'll move S4 to Kentucky. No, Izzy wouldn't like that.
Really? But that, and I also am a stringer for Blue Rock Talk TV, and we do a lot of things all over the country, from Bigfoot to hauntings, and we just did an investigation up at Waverly all night, and a couple of the guys with me was, one of them was James Long, Bishop James Long. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that did the live exorcism at the original Exorcist house in St. Louis, live on television that time, back in 2015. So we have a lot of people involved between Blue Rock Talk TV and Myth Chasers that have a lot of experience. Parker Duvall has a lot of experience with Goat Man and Dog Man all over Kentucky. And we have, by the way, Blue Rock Talk TV is actually Connie Willis's adventure, and she's a guest host on Coast to Coast AM a couple of times a month.
Cool.
So, and I have seen Bigfoot. I've seen a huge UFO over by what Barry was talking about earlier over at the Bluegrass Army Depot. And, I mean, this thing was massive. It was unbelievable, 400 foot long at least. And at night, and it just blocked out all the stars. And there was a couple of windows that you could see through our openings. But,
hey, Mike, was that at the one up by Winchester and East Lexington, or was that the one at down by Richmond?
Berea. We were coming up I-75 from Florida and hit the break at the high cut there where you come off the Cumberland Plateau.
Right.
And right at the break of it, we saw this moving. And I pulled over to the side of the road, and we just watched it. Now, there was, this was back in the 80s, and there were a lot of reports of lights and objects at that time in that area. Mm-hmm. So many that the Army came up with an excuse that it was B-52s coming up from Warner Robins and dropping down and doing carpet bombing runs, practice runs over the valley there. Well, let me tell you what, I know how loud a B-52 is, and there was nothing from this. And it was like we were at the high cut, and we were looking straight out at it. It was that close.
Not to mention the B-52 doesn't move as slow as what you're talking about.
No.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And they're not 400 feet long either, or 400 yards long.
No, this was massive.
Long, yards long. And they're just massive. It takes up the whole sky, darkens the sky out. When you see it.
But that's the thing. It was dark. It was sort of black mass. Mm-hmm. And it had openings, like we said, where we could see movement in there. And this thing floated, and as it floated, the stars would disappear behind it.
Yeah,
because down there you get a lot of sightings of the stars there.
Yeah. Obviously, B-52s. It's got to be.
It was really just.
I've seen one of those one time. Dealt with UFOs for a long time now, and I've seen one time, and this thing, man, it was the size of a football field, and a lot happened that night, and I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
No. I mean, it was me and a buddy, and we got out and we're sitting on the damn guardrail watching this, and as it disappeared over to our right, we both just looked at each other and we said, I ain't saying nothing to nobody. Are you? No.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, that's usually a command ship. That's what most people call a mothership, but yeah, that's usually their command ship.
Right, exactly. And it's funny when we had a report back in, it was about 2011. One was coming down I-64 heading west. Trucker saw it coming in his rearview mirror behind him, and it was that's back when that's where I-64 widens up to 3 lanes, and he was like going, it was hanging over all the lanes and everything else when it went over, and he was talking about EMF anomaly where the trucks and the cars that were in that lane actually stopped, and we did further investigations, and as it tailed off and went north, up like it was going towards Right Pat, and it was at that point there was lights. They were actually being able to see the lights flash on and flash out. So there was rolling blackouts documented all the way to the Kentucky Ohio line.
Wow.
So I've got to ask, and I've asked this on the show a couple different times so far this year. We're only in the third month, but have you guys seen a rise in UFOs? And I want you to think specifically in the last 3 weeks with this epidemic thing going on.
Yeah, we have. We've had a lot of reports of UFOs. One of the problems that we have deals with Elon Musk. I don't know where he's got the idea that he can put up 4,000 satellites. We gave him the approval for that. But, Starlink, which is SpaceX, yeah. And a lot of people are seeing 50 units, and the bad problem about Starlink is that he's putting up 50 to 80 of them at a shot. So they're all on different orbits, and he's not put them anywhere in the orbit yet. So they're following this one path, and they're doing a string. So a lot of people are citing the Starlink and seeing all these. They're very visible. So you're seeing Starlink go by, and they're freaking out. They're going, "Oh my God, there's an invasion! There's this going on." and if you follow the old Waterbomb Brahm and Carolyn Rosin thing that originally was put with the first, golly, I can't think of the name of it, U.S. Congress thing. Why can't I think of it? I apologize, folks. But a disclosure project, that's what it was. It was a disclosure project.
Okay.
And she gets up and she says, the fifth false flag is the alien invasion. And
supposedly wasn't the whole conspiracy rumor that the military is going to put up this big holographic emblem of an alien invasion, and they're going to, I think that came from Alex Jones, I can't remember who, but
right, Project Bluebeam. That was
there you go. That,
of course,
that's what it was.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
All right. Well, do you think there's that much of a rise in it, or just because of the fact that everybody's isolated at home, they're looking up at the stars more? So they're seeing stuff that was already there. They just had never noticed before.
The number one reporters that we get are smokers, because they're not smoking in their house. They go out and smoke.
Right.
So they're outside and they're looking around and they're looking up and they see these things. Right. But unfortunately, there are more reports coming in all the time, and there has been an increase. And there's increases in a lot of activity, not only in UFO, but the paranormal. Same things with cryptos. We're seeing more of the stuff, whether it's related to, we're seeing rake activity, that kind of type stuff in these areas. So is it because we're in an area? Kentucky is cave central. We've got Mammoth Cave here and all that stuff, and it has not been explored. And there's paranormal activities and weird things that have been documented in these cave systems, all Native America and everything else. So when the ground, we're talking about earthquakes a little bit, when it starts rocking and shaking, it's waking up a lot of old stuff. This is ancient territory in here, folks. This part of this country has been around for a long, long time. And this is the area where we'll have to talk about this separately, but we also know that there's a lot of large giant people that have been found here, dug up, taken by the Smithsonian and everything else, and you can't follow a darn thing on them. They don't want you to know that there was giants found in Kentucky and dug up.
For sure.
And
you're talking about the missing skulls?
Ohio. I've got a friend of mine that was a archaeologist and dug up a very large man in Ohio, and she was immediately fired from her job, lost her grant, and exiled from the entire industry just because she found it. She didn't know what she was digging up.
Right. And back in the in the state of Kentucky, and if you find some of these old Kentucky State books of, the beginning of Kentucky and everything else, they talk about, a farmer in Simpson County found a skull and bones that were, 10 feet tall. The head was big enough to put a human head in, and it had 2 rows of teeth.
Damn.
So,
Right. So just
those things, it just goes to show you that this is just more and more stuff happening as the world keeps going on and this stuff gets stranger. So is the paranormal. It's all tied in. I've always said that everything in paranormal, whether it's UFOs, whether it's ghosts, whether it's cryptos, they're all tied together in this strange way. And if we don't look at them, it's all dealing with EMF. It's all dealing with all the stuff of that. And Eric could blow your mind on that. And also, maybe we can get him to talk about the pharmacology desk.
And Barry.
At any given time, if you guys want me to go up, just let me know.
Are you aware of the passage in Rank's history of Kentucky where the pioneers, when they came to Lexington, and it would be down where Rupp Arena is now, if anybody knows what Rupp Arena is.
Yeah.
But they found a cavern carved out there, and it was full of pygmy mummies.
Yes.
Yes, and they were all
3 foot tall people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And they all had red hair.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they weren't Indian.
No. Yeah.
No.
And so what they were doing is, and they've been actually found in Mammoth Cave also, some of the amazing things that have been found. Very small.
Can I kind of jump in on this red hair, blue eye thing? AB negative or RH negative factor. Negative. Right. Yeah. Indians, all native. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm a consultant for Harvard University on experience or study. All Native Americans had O positive blood and O positive genes. All of them did. Now, about 3,000 years ago, these elongated skull people somehow had a boat. They're not supposed to have a boat, but they showed up here in America and they were breeding with Indian people. And this is when the RH negative factor actually happened here and migrated south, to Peru and everything like that. Nowadays, 15% of the American population have the RH negative factor. I myself, I'm RH negative AB. Bloodline and DNA. So if I try to mate, is that what they call it now?
Yeah. No.
I don't know.
Jalen, what's the word for that?
Barry Manilow music, please. But if I tried to mate with 85% of the population of the world, she would miscarry without proper medication. That would be meaning that there is a subhuman involvement with my DNA that doesn't involve 85% of the population. Yeah. The woman will actually reject the child. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but there's so many attributes that are involved in that really need to be looked at, because if you look into the human genome, when that kind of thing is involved, it's not mind-blowing. It's past that, and we don't have a word for that yet.
Yeah, we had a guest on it that wrote an excellent book on it. She hosts UFO cons in Florida and everything else. Her name was Melissa Kennedy. And she has done some great work on our RH negative. And tells her story. Her story was very similar, and they were giving shots to her for the baby to be able to reject the RH negative and be able to.
That's what they do. And unless you go through it, you really don't.
Yeah, you don't know about it.
You don't hear about it unless you actually do it. Who really knows their blood type? Who really knows their, their Yeah,
right. Yeah,
well,
there you go.
Look, come on, guys. We're informed people, or we try to be anay. But
no, well, the Army makes everyone know the blood type. So yeah, A positive.
Mine is THC.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
THC positive.
Yeah.
Okay.
THC. You know, I did that in Vegas once. I was THC positive. You wouldn't believe the crap that came out of my mouth, and you wouldn't believe the crap that went in it.
So what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas,
right? So Nikki's got a question in the chat room. Isn't 2 rows of teeth normal for that species of giant human?
It actually is. Yes, it is. It very much is. A 6th finger is also prominent. Red hair, blue or green eyes.
Those are just Vikings. Come on now.
Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. I mean, it's been found in New York, Pennsylvania, all in the area,
all over the world.
You know, there are areas that have found it. You know, and there are so many different cultures. But the bad thing about it is when you go to research it, you got to try to find out about it. And these accredited, like Cambridge University and the Smithsonian, you go to find out about it. Guess what? Dig around and say, hey, I'd like to see some of these skulls that are all pulled out, and you guys did all this work. You'll never find the paperwork on them. They won't have them. And so what are they doing? They're dumping them in the ocean? What the hell? Because they don't want you to know about them.
When I was born, I had attributes about my body that were literally not dysplasia or mutations. Yeah. And they were literally impossible for science. You know, Bear and I, we joke sometimes where I'm going to bury my body. So future archaeologists can argue about my problems. But, that's, God, I'm 41 now. And I'm still going to be looked at Harvard and other universities as far as how that's concerned. But how is that going to go public? How is that going to be known to everyone out there? That's just a conspiracy theorist when it's, it's actually a fact.
So that's the problem. If people can't handle a pandemic, how do you think they're going to react when the aliens come down and say, hey, we're here?
Oh, they're already doing
it. And the bad thing about it is
they're already doing it.
I know.
What happened.
Barry can tell you. I've been in the UFO field for 30 years now. So I know for a fact the aliens are here. I've met their.
Oh yeah, they are here. They're here. And it's funny that it's so weird, Eric. We talk about it and we see all these things, but the bottom line truth on it, they are here. But what has happened is social conditioning is taken in. We were all been told that, oh, by the way, you're crazy if you saw an alien. If you did all that stuff.
Okay. All right, but I'm going to go off of this pandemic thing for just a second. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I like her.
How long ago were we told that it was in China? And how long did it take us to say, hey, this might actually be a real problem, guys? Okay.
I know.
So it's the same thing with if aliens were to come down, if they were to land in a different country, speak to their prime minister, president, queen, whatever, and say, hey, dude, what's happening? We're here. How many of us will still not believe that?
A good majority,
85. Yeah, the majority.
Hey, well, the biggest part about it is that, we know all the documentation that came out from all the things in the 50s and everything else, but in the 30s we had a slight little problem with Orson Welles, and he showed how people were going to react.
Oh, absolutely.
So all the documents and everything else, from War of the Worlds on a radio show, where people are going out, killing themselves and jumping off of buildings and everything else. What did it show?
Let me tell you a story real quick about Orson Welles. Because right here in I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago with you, or a while back with you, Barry. Right here in Concrete, Washington, it actually hit national news, because in Concrete, Washington, they were actually playing the War of the Worlds, and right when they came to the aliens who landed and yada yada, a transformer blew. Now, if you're familiar with Concrete, Washington, we're smack dab in the middle of the Cascade Mountains. It's literally a mountain town. Yep. So a transformer blew, all these people are listening to this news broadcast, and guns came out because they thought it was real. They had no clue exactly. This was only a radio story. They actually thought the aliens landed. And, nobody knew for 2 or 3 hours, until they actually got the phones working again, that it was fake. But, these people here came out with guns. They were fully prepared to defend concrete against the alien invasion.
Right, exactly.
But, yeah, it's funny you bring that up because, we've talked about that on the show before because we're here in concrete. It is a local story.
Yes, but okay. So the difference, though, that I think is they were talking about a full scale. Hey, they've landed. They're vaporizing people. There's people dying in the streets. Okay. Now, if they were to have put out a radio broadcast that said, "Hey, this species of whatever landed at the White House. They spoke to the president. They had brunch and drank tea with the Queen of England." Okay. Do you think there would be as much hysteria and panic then?
Yeah, watch Mars Attack.
I think there's so much what people call fake news today, and I think there's so much CGI on YouTube. I think there's so much. You could have a real alien invasion, and I think everyone would say, "Oh, it's just fake."
Fake news.
Yeah, what if?
Just like the moon landing.
If we can postulate for 2 seconds what it's like to have a 500 IQ talking to somebody like us, if you can just put yourself in those shoes, going, how do I talk to this person?
Right.
Once you analyze the fact that we shove bread up a turkey's butt once a year, and the next day, after we give thanks to everything that we're grateful for, we trample each other and punch each other in the face over a clock.
Over a pair of socks.
Guys,
or an elbow doll.
We literally are. Every 100 years, we think we're at the pinnacle of humanity. Every 100 years, we stand around and we look at our accomplishments and we go, we are at the top and we are at the pinnacle of everything. Look at our technology. Look at everything that we have. It's wonderful. Guess what? Every 100 years, we are 100% just wrong. So if you really think about these people looking at us, looking at ourselves, it's, God.
Dude, there's still people who think the damn Earth is flat.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Okay, some people are gonna take this the wrong way, but honestly, it's like when we drop people off into ape colonies and we have them communicate and teach them sign language. Okay, do they really know what's going on?
Yeah.
Do they really feel like I think that would be a good comparison to what a higher intelligence coming here would be like.
No, I meet people on a daily basis where I try to talk to them. I know it's not working out very well. And all of a sudden I have this huge craving of just grabbing grass from the ground and throwing it up in the air and banging my chest and maybe throwing a rock or two and see if that is more communicable than, actual speech.
At least you didn't say you have the craving of punching them in the face, because that's probably what I would be wanting to do. But, yeah.
I'm going to be on the show next. Yeah, let's be on the show next week. We'll talk about that.
But I don't know. Do you think, getting on alien races here for a second, we've talked about the rise in UFOs in the last, and I'm only going by the last 3 weeks because that's actually when the pandemic hit us the hardest. So, do you think this pandemic situation has anything to do with us being observed more?
We are absolutely being interacted, monitored, more understood than what you can understand about yourself, infiltrated by multiple races that we couldn't possibly understand. Right. And our ego could not possibly take that understanding. Our social conditioning can't take it. Our social engineering can't take it, and neither can our governments. So if you draw out this entire dialectic, it's absolutely ridiculous. But the most important thing is you sit back and please laugh at yourself, because we think we have a good beat on what's going on, and we don't have a clue, and we're chasing answers. We find them every single day. We could spend hours and hours and hours just trying to find the truth about this thing. But the truth is not an external situation. It's an internal one. And I don't want to get too hairy-fairy with you, but it's just nature. It's just okay. I mean, these things happen. You catch a fish, you throw it back in the water. He goes back, he tells his friends about it. His friends think he's nuts. Life goes on.
Yeah. But they don't grab the hook again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, my mouth is getting...
Okay.
Yeah.
I disagree. We have enough stupid people in the world that it proves that in any animalistic society, there's someone that's stupid enough to grab that hook the second time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's usually a catfish, isn't it?
Is it too early in our relationship to tell you guys my mouth is getting sore?
Yeah. It's like going, yeah, exactly. There it is. Then he will grab the hook the second time, So
Now, my favorite part is I've gone to several different psychologists. I've spoken a long time to a psychoanalyst, because Bear, he's my investigator. He's wanted me to make sure that, everything's sound with me and everything like that. Because if you do have an experience and you are sane, chances are you're not going to come out right on the other side. I've done multiple testing and all that stuff. I've done the IQ testing and everything like that. And I have, and I will, just like a support group, on my total psychological evaluation, I have a dependency on nicotine. And I have, quote unquote, this is my favorite part, guys, trouble adjusting to a trauma. Now, most people in a psychological evaluation has anywhere from 5 to 30 marks on their test. And I had 2. I smoke and something fucked me up. So, hey, go with that one. I'm not talking about little green men. I'm not talking about this and that. I'm just saying that you got to think about the psychological impact. You got to think about the ability to handle that kind of thing. Bear was there to, facilitate that thing, for me. And I was able to correctly deal with something that 7 years ago, if you were to tell me that UFOs were real, I would have called you crazy. And end of story. End of story. Now what is crazy to me is fanny pack wearing people with socks that are just way too high on their legs.
Okay.
Does that? I mean,
leave me out of this.
Yeah. I mean, let's bring these guys up. Does that kind of creep you out too?
What, fanny packs? They've been around forever, man.
Yeah, but
Walmart freaks me out. I just don't like to go to Walmart. I mean,
Right.
That's the one place that I don't like to go. But what Eric's basically saying is true. When people have the trauma, people have this stuff. Most people, in Eric's case or my case, and those things, you want the little quick fix. You love to go to the doctor and have them say, "You're crazy. Let me give you this." The guys in the white coat are coming in right now.
Yeah, go ahead and get that.
By the way, I got a pill for this. But it never comes. They're like going, "Oh no, you're sane. You're perfect." And you're like going, "Oh, well."
Yeah,
great,
and at the
thanks.
same time, I'd have Bear call me on the phone with his sick, twisted sense of humor, saying, "Hey, Eric, are you sitting down? I just verified everything you sent me."
Yeah.
Well, look, guys,
that didn't help none.
Yeah, no, I didn't want to be verified. I wanted to be, statistic. I wanted to be somebody that was under too much pressure in life and had delusions or something. But my delusion was that I ignored my neighbors, the witnesses, the Pentagon people that were showing up, the everything that was going on. I couldn't handle it. I was like, no, this is too much. This is like a movie. It's not my life. No, screw that. I didn't choose this. But it forces itself on you, and you have to somehow acclimate into understanding that kind of thing. And since I understand the process, I work with a lot of people like myself. I also work with Harvard. I've worked with organizations that have done a lot of research. Wow, I'm getting tired talking about it. But the thing is, it's real. It's going on, and it's barely peeked its little eye on the American people. And the CIA has a quote-unquote thing called the weathering. They want to weather the public, and that's what they're doing with television and commercials and stuff like that now, to weather the public into understanding that this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
It's called social conditioning.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Social conditioning from the very beginning of it, And
the Close Encounter of a Third Kind was one step in that direction.
Right, exactly.
Well, they tried that back then, and it wasn't working, so now they're trying it again.
It's strange, and anytime, we're all involved in the paranormal. We're all involved in the strange things between ghosts and cryptids and UFOs and all the strange and bizarre. We're all into that. But people think that, well, the government's not into that. Well, guess what?
They got so much to learn.
Yeah, So you're like going, hey, the X-Files?
Yeah.
People say, that's a TV show.
Yeah, Chris Carter was heavily involved with government. Steven Spielberg. We beat that topic up so much.
To know that there is a aviary out there with.
Have you guys heard of that? The aviary.
And also to know that there's a phrenology desk which deals in paranormal.
Yeah, that's on the 5th floor of the Pentagon. It's called the Phenomenology Desk, lovingly by Ron Pandolfi. Excuse me, did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Hal Puthoff, Chris Mellon. There's a lot of people in the CIA that's been involved with the Phenomenology Desk. They call that lovingly amongst themselves the Weird Desk. Is what they call it.
Yeah.
And these are guys they're the 5th floor of the Pentagon, and they've been doing this for a very long time, an extremely long time. We're talking decades, and they study ghosts. They study Bigfoot. I don't know, man. If you guys got Google right now, you can look up the FBI website where they pulled a piece of fur off of I think it was 1968. Correct me if I'm wrong. Off of a rancher's, fence line. And it turned out this guy saw a Bigfoot. The hair was cut on the fence line. They analyzed it, and it did not match anything. DARPA, Serpo, any agency that's ever looked into this, the Jason Society looked into it, could not identify. They could not identify what they were looking at. It's like. We always wake up in the morning feeling different. We always wake up in the morning feeling not a part of society or anything like that. But look, man, the truth is the truth. It's coming out. And, it's okay to look like a nutcase. But
you need to come up here this summer when we go do our expedition, because we are right smack dab in the middle of Bigfoot and UFO country.
Oh, country. You are.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Yeah. I keep my eye on the sky and on the ground, but I'm a guy that likes to go with the facts. And man, when you look at the Pentagon, ATIP came out. Bear and I were talking about that in 2014.
Yeah,
it's like I did a public talk in 2014 in Maine. Everybody was totally cool that what happened to me happened to me. That was the most profound part. What they it's like they were accepting, and I was really happy about that. What they didn't like, and top-notch ufologists came up to me, and they were just pointing their finger going, it is not the Pentagon, it's Area 51. And I'm looking at them like, you really think I'm going to stand up on a stage in front of thousands of people and lie to them?
Yeah.
These projects are in the Pentagon. There's 3 of them. And I told them about ATIP. I told them about all this stuff that, and they're like, no, it's not true. 2017, who calls me to apologize? Nobody.
Of course not.
No, the crickets in the background.
Because apology admits guilt, so of course they're not going to apologize for it.
Right, exactly.
Deniability.
Hey, Eric, this will probably be the last time we're ever invited on SR for.
Oh no, dude.
That'll be like,
probably.
they'll be sitting down and watching them. I mean, do you guys ever have problems with your radio show not being?
All of a sudden Skype shuts down. That's happening.
You don't even have to finish that sentence.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at that. I started doing a radio show, and all of a sudden I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Wow.
Yeah. But the thing is, we talked about enough information within 5 minutes.
I took my headphones off for a second. Did someone commit suicide while I was gone?
You good?
What? No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if we had another Epstein.
Nope.
I lost part of the conversation. I'm sorry.
You're good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I've never been visited. And we've run S4 for 4 years now.
I was just at your house yesterday. What are you talking about?
Never had a visitation.
I just visited you.
Visitation from who?
By the unmarked black vehicles.
Oh, yeah, you have. You just don't know it.
Oh, well, I'll tell you one thing.
That's how that works.
Yeah,
that's how that works.
We've had some...
I know about those programs. That's how that works.
Hey, we can talk about it. You ever want to talk about that? I know that you guys had a... Well, I won't even say about it. I'll let you bring it up if you want to bring it up.
What's
a certain case you talked to in Kentucky.
Oh, no. We won't bring that one up.
We're good there. Thank you, though.
No, that kind of shut the team down a bit. But, yeah.
Well, it is that, that's the kind of shit that's out here. That's the kind of stuff that makes the world go around, and it actually is here. And it's difficult to work in this area and work in the field. You do get attention. There's no doubt about it. So it happens.
Now, I was going to say too. The hardest part about being in this field and working with clients, and like I said earlier in the show, we handled on a slow day, it was 5 to 6 cases a day.
Oh, true. I know that.
Busy day, I think I've juggled 10 to 15 cases at a time, and that's globally. And of course, Barry knows about the team that we ran. But
you think about that one weekend last summer.
Oh my God!
That must have been 30. That was ridiculous.
So the hard part with dealing with paranormal cases, and I say paranormal meaning Bigfoot, UFOs, abduction, hauntings.
Yeah, out of the norm.
You have too many teams that call it paranormal, but we only investigate hauntings. That's not a paranormal team, to me.
No,
that's my opinion.
Yeah, 100% right.
I've told Barry and I have talked about this many times. The hard part is when you have a client that's telling you what's going on with them, and you're sitting there going, "Oh shit, that's an abductee. That's not a haunting. That fits the abduction."
Can I ask you? Can I ask you? And it's an important question. Can I ask you how you discern, a person that has literally gone through this, but maybe another person that believes they may have?
I go by my set patterns that I know. That's what determines it. Now, if they're talking, okay, I've been pushed, I've been scratched, if you wake up and you have nosebleeds, first question I ask is, have you ever been diagnosed as anemic? Do you have a blood thinning disorder? You always rule out the mundane before you just jump on abduction or paranormal in general.
Did you piss
Oh my God!
last night?
Yeah. But so many people don't. You got two types of people.
Really?
You have the ones that jump on it and say, "Oh my God, you're an abductee," or you've got the other ones that say, "It's probably a demon." I mean, you've got the two types, and then you've got the third. Right, exactly. You've got the third type that looks at a picture, for example, and says, "Oh, it's all pareidolia." No, nothing happened. There's nothing there. The biggest signs I look for, one, nosebleeds is a very minor one to me. The big one is scoop marks. Do you walk by street lights, for example, and they go out when you're walking past them? That's a big one. Electrical phenomena can be anything paranormal, not just abduction. The big one for me too is, have you seen a UFO?
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then do you have missing time?
Yeah.
I have certain parameters I look at before I say yes, you're an abductee.
Yeah.
We all do. We always know. We get a lot of calls and people start talking about, oh, I'm an abductee, I'm this and that, and there's a criteria that follows, and they all follow the same criteria, and you know them when you see them. But you get these some people, and I don't know what makes it so popular to want to become an abductee, because
that kills me.
I don't. Yeah, it kills me too. It kills me too. And
about the liars.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I still don't understand that.
So it gives them a sense of purpose of their life when there is no other.
Right. I guess.
What you got to understand is, on our team, we actually had our own psychiatric therapist.
I know.
And we had our own scientist, an actual scientist.
Yeah.
So our team was set up very balanced. We had the psych side, we had the psychic side, and we had the science side. So when it came to handling a case, and then of course we had the astral side. That's why we handled 5 to 6 cases a day, because we had an astral team. So we could go to Australia within seconds. Or South Africa.
Exactly.
Or Israel.
Exactly.
I mean, we've literally...
wherever we needed to go. It's remote viewing, the whole 9 yards, and you guys had it all. And, it's just like, we have the abilities, we have a father on our team that worked with, worked with Bishop Long. Mike mentioned Bishop Long beforehand. We have psychologists. We have all those things that are at our... things. We've done some pretty amazing stuff. But, when you start in and you go to paranormal cases and you sit there and you're listening to, because what happens with abductees, they're going to see shadow people, they're going to see orbs, they're going to see all those things also, because that's one of the things that veil lifts, and the next thing you know, you're going to have that kind of stuff. You're going to have the electron anomalies. The light bulbs are going to go out like crazy. People are going to think, man, I buy 300, my light bulbs are going out all the time.
My favorite one is, how many laptops have you gone through?
Right, exactly.
Oh my God, my laptop goes out every month. I'm like, every month I have to get a new one. I'm like, okay, then it's probably the trend.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's usually with the electrical phenomena with an abductee. I usually those are. We need to talk about that, because, and we're getting close to the top of the hour. We'll go into that going into the third hour. But we actually had a local that wanted to know about implants.
Well, but there's 2 things that the laptop thing could be.
What's that?
Well, it's either you're an abductee, right?
Right.
Or you shop Apple.
That could be it too. Yeah.
The other thing you got to look out for, and because for some reason a lot of people do want this to be what happened to them. I don't know why, but they do. You got to look out for changing stories. Changing storylines, different things happening that they said didn't happen, and then they're, oh wait, yes it did, because that's a sign now. No,
Right.
So we'll talk. We'll start going into implants in the third hour. But I want to ask you, what's your thoughts about Bob Lazar? Personally, I believe Bob Lazar. I believe he's valid.
Personally, so do I. I mean, I am a Bob Lazar fan, and unfortunately, he was treated like crap. You know.
I'm sorry. What the hell is? Please inform me. What in the hell is against Bob Lazar's
story? I mean,
what's against it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like going. It happened, and this stuff out there, and it's just one of those things. It was the social conditioning that caused it. It's all the people that were trying to dumb it down, make it into something, and then what happens? 20 years later, Bob Lazar is vindicated. You know, but look at the shit he had to go through in his life.
I think what sold it for me was Element 116.
Yes, exactly.
Because he was talking to Element 116 long before they came out and quote unquote
made it a part of the.
Sorry, sir. 151 Element 116 is a different property.
Oh, it's 115.
Okay.
151, yes.
Is it 151 or 115?
115 is not stable at all.
Yeah.
It's not a stable anything.
No, but that's what Bob Lazar said.
I like one.
Oh, right,
yeah, well,
exactly.
151 wasn't stable until they incurred, kind of like Corona-19. They tried it several times. They tried it several times and tried to make it stable. I don't know if you guys know anything about the science, but it doesn't matter. But Bob proved himself from the 1980s to now. He was talking about it. Now it's on the periodic table of elements. It's like, who cares? You know, the problem here that we have with ufology and all that stuff is like, the guy is telling the truth, but he's got nipple hair, and I don't like nipple hair. You know what I mean? You guys get that? I mean, do you see what's going on here with, if people are like, we're going to attack his toenails, we're going to attack his T-shirt, we're going to do this and that, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, wait, weren't we talking about the truth? Weren't we talking about the subject? Can you imagine that in court where, somebody's standing trial for murder and everybody attacks the lawyer because he wears pink underwear? And
right.
I mean, the guy gets the death penalty. That's where we're headed if that's how we think in society nowadays. I mean, let's attack the person that has the truth.
That isn't how we think in society nowadays. That's how we've always thought in society.
Always, yeah. That's always been the way.
Stone him! Yeah. Stone him now!
Yeah. I just googled Bob Lazar. It is Element 115. Element 115 is the one that went.
Is it 115?
Yeah,
I am mistaken.
Yeah, 115.
Wow,
that went into the
Muscovium.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
It is now on the periodical table. So,
did George Knapp even attack Bob Lazar here a few years ago?
I ain't surprised. I was actually following and studying Bob Lazar back in the 90s when he first came out. And then, everyone started attacking him and crap, and I still believed him. And then until, 3 years ago, he came out again?
Yeah. Hey, look, guys, I can speak from primordial experience that when you talk about the truth, when you really talk about the truth and you try to get out there, not as a person that wants to make money or popularity or anything like that, when you are genuine and you want to tell the truth, you're going to be hurt by people you never expected to be hurt by. And that means your closest friends, people you share a bed with. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not speaking from a dialectic or a dream or a guess. I've lived that life. I have been attacked and hurt by so many people that have been incredibly close to me that I thought I could trust. And what does that build? What does that create in a person that wants to tell the truth? Where is the truth? It's a person that doesn't want to say a goddamn thing because you know what? People actually suck. So you tend to go down this road of people that mostly suck and other people that, believe in you and they're genuine and they're nice. But once they get this little cough serum in their mouth of popularity and money and fame, it gets to their head, and guess what happens to them? They suck again.
Right.
And everybody wants you to be popular. Everybody wants you to be famous. Everybody wants to leech onto that, and they don't know where it leads. They haven't looked at it. They don't understand that it destroys things. Being a decent person is okay. Being, so much more than just a decent person, that's okay. But being an egotistical facade of a piece of poop is not okay. And so you can have a legitimate person brought into this whole non-understood dialectic of how popularity or quote-unquote stories work, and they are destroyed. It's always destroyed. The truth about this whole thing is how we decipher, how we Rubik's Cube this whole thing. It is impossible because you know what? There is people that are always out to destroy the truth, and there are people that are always out to embellish the truth. There are always people out to do so many different things. And when you end up being that leaf in the wind, your middle finger is the most constructive thing you could do other than wiping your ass during the coronavirus.
Yes.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to our second and last break of the night. So join us for the third hour when we continue the talk about the paranormal and everything to do with it. So we'll be back, guys.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I'm running here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die, I am your poltergeist. Try to kill me, but I cannot die. You try to ignore me, but I haunt you deep inside. You keep trying to kill me, but I cannot die. You try to ignore me, but I haunt you deep inside. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, and watch as I catch fire. But I cannot die. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I'm wanted here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, it watches I catch fire. But I cannot die, I am your motherfucker. They say I'm evil, they say I'm dead inside. Check out my ego, cause I brought it here tonight. Just burn me like a witch, it watches I catch fire. But I cannot die, I am your poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist. Oh, poltergeist, poltergeist. Poltergeist, poltergeist.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Good evening, folks, and welcome back to S4. Tonight we are talking all things paranormal with Barry Gaunt, Mike Crow, and Eric Schmidt. I'm sitting here just...
Eric
Mitchell.
Eric Mitchell. I'm sorry. Yeah, I got something up every time I come back.
Oh, Eric Schmidt coming in. Now we got 3 Erics? Oh, my God.
Yeah, well, it's, God, Eric's our Lexi. So,
Yeah, that's it.
So, holy Schmidt.
Yeah.
Schmidt. There we go. There we go. So yeah, during the break, I was looking up the martial law practice that they were doing here a few years ago. It's called the Jade Helm, and that's where they were actually doing military exercises on martial law. And well, I think we're probably going to see that implemented today.
Today? I wouldn't say today.
Not today. Maybe
Not
next
today.
week.
I'd give it at least 4 or 5 days.
4 or 5
days out.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to hit that 700 plus mark.
Yeah.
And there's where it's going to go.
They're going to
What's
have
the putting on in day 5, day 6 quarantine code?
Oh, I don't know.
So I was going to take pictures of that code day 187.
Done.
Who is that?
I don't know, but you gotta love the laugh.
That's one of my. That's one of my investigators. She got laid off at Duke Power up in Indiana.
Okay.
And came back to the.
Yeah.
Izzy's in the chat room. She says there's only a few hours left today. They better move quick. Absolutely, but it's military. They do move quick.
Hi, Izzy. Did you hear we're all moving to Kentucky?
No, she ain't gonna be happy. No, she don't want to move to Kentucky. We don't want to leave Bigfoot behind.
There's a Kentucky devil or something. No, that's Jersey. Jesus, nothing.
Oh yeah, the Jersey Devil. I mean, we've got the Lizard Man, we got Dog Man, we got all the cool stuff. We got Squatch out here, but let me ask you a question. And I know you had a guy that wanted to talk about cryptids a little bit, but we always look at, and from my knowledge of the Bigfoot and in different areas and being in different spots and so forth like that, I always look at it and go, up in Washington and everything else, they're berry eaters. They don't seem to be aggressive as far as the hunter mind, but they're eating and doing kills of deer and everything else. And when you get into Texas, Oklahoma, and you get over towards Kentucky, they're a little bit more aggressive. They will, they are hunters. They eat meat. They are aggressive son of a guns. Right. Same thing in the Virginia areas. In that area, do you see that? What's your guys' opinion of that?
I think they're cousins, to be honest with you. But the Bigfoot we have here, yes, some people say they're more docile. I don't think so. I think they do keep to themselves. I agree. But it wasn't, it was a Bigfoot that took my rooster. He ain't just a berry eater.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he liked eggs.
I think it also has a lot to do with the environmental aspect, too. Like, different areas and different plants that are edible, different things to their taste. I really do think that maybe up here they eat more berries and they do more stuff like that, but you're going to find berries here that you're not going to find over there. You're going to find things over here that you're not going to find there. So I think it's just like when Native Americans were in one area versus another area. Well, these guys were hunter-gatherers. These guys were strictly hunters. These ones. So I think it's the same thing. Yeah.
It's a tribal thing.
Right. Right, exactly.
I could agree with that.
I can go for that. Let me throw the other question in. Real planet Earth living creatures or interdimensional?
Oh, Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Oh, interdimensional, hands down, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I go by that because you have too many cases where you will follow tracks in the snow, they'll disappear. And
yes, exactly.
Some people are, they went up a tree. I'm sorry, but there's no tree in the middle of this field. Where'd he go?
He jumped.
Yeah, I'm one of the ones that go with the interdimensional aspect. I know that some of them are saying, no, it's a real living thing. Well, he is when he wants to be. He could be standing next to you. He could be standing next to you, and you'll never see him.
Oh, you wouldn't know it because I've also heard cases where he's almost digitized, where you can see kind of like a heat wave.
Right.
You can hear him, but you can see a heat wave moving. Kind of like the movie Predator.
Exactly, like a Predator character. Yeah, exactly.
The other cases I've heard, they'll have a game cam set up. I haven't had this happen to me yet. I'm still waiting. I can hardly wait for it to happen. But you'll see the wildlife in the background. Then the camera goes white, and you can hear. You can still hear the volume, but the camera goes white. The Bigfoot disappears. The camera goes back to normal. That's not a camera malfunction. Not when it goes back to normal. So
not when you still get the audio.
Huh?
Not when you're still getting the audio clear.
No. If there's a camera malfunction, everything would go out, not just your visual.
It's funny. You see the same thing in the paranormal too. I mean, when you're looking at ghosts and spirits, I mean, you can walk into a room, go into a certain area, and all of a sudden you see, hey, my camera's not working. Walk back out. You want to say, hey, my battery is totally drained. Walk to another part of the area, going to get a battery, and you look at your thing and you go, hey, wow, Jiminy Christmas, I still got 3/4 battery power. But at the time you looked at it, and for that time, it was empty. I've seen, and we've brought batteries back from investigations. I keep my batteries just for the purpose of saying, I can use that in a remote when I get home because they're drained, but for some magical reason, when I get away from what I'm doing, they're up and ready to go again,
Yeah, I had that experience with Waverly. I have video cameras that have rechargeable batteries that were fully charged. I got up there, and they were drained immediately. When I got back to the house, they were charged again.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that's why you got places like Waverly. You got all these hot spots that are known to be haunted, and I think those are. I think that's why. I think you have certain points that are so haunted. Everybody knows about them, and I think there's so much energy from the etheric, essentially, that it does pull a drain.
Right, I know where, I'm down from Nottingham Hall. I volunteer at Nottingham Hall all the time. It's 6 miles away from me. I'm there all the time. It's it's a great place. I don't know if you've ever been there before, Mike, but
where's that?
Nottingham Hall Museum. It's a it's an awesome hunt. It's been on every TV show known to man, I think. But it's the same way. But there's everything there. So, I mean, you don't just see spirits. People have reported Bigfoot accounts. People have reported UFOs over their property. People have reported, in fact, the last time that Nick Groff was there, he came by, met us in the afternoon, walked outside, and it was like, are you kidding me? It actually has a UFO encounter, seeing a UFO over the Huntington Hall, crazy stuff. That's just the way that it is,
So we had a group with Blue Rock Talk TV down in E-Town, Kentucky, Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
Go out to the Gates of Hell Cemetery,
right.
The Casey Cemetery, and we had people from that were the exorcist bishop was there, and people from Colorado and North Carolina, all were there. I didn't make it to this one, but they're doing the investigation at the cemetery, and they see Bigfoots, several Bigfoots running up and down the road in the middle of the cemetery. In the back of the cemetery is a cave.
You're right.
And they were running in and out of that.
We need a drone for the cave.
With your battery situations, when you say they were drained when you got there, do you mean like completely drained to the point where they wouldn't power on anything?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I got there, they were working. But when I went inside, we were setting up in the cafeteria right at first. And as I pulled everything out on the table, I had no battery power on anything except the EVPs. Same thing happened the month earlier on Halloween at the haunted graveyard we did at the little cemetery or the church where I went to church there when I was a kid. But this graveyard was from 1786, and the graves were, some of them were disturbed. But I mean, we just went blank on the batteries.
Now, are these just regular AA or like rechargeable AA's?
No. It's the rechargeable
camera
lithium batteries.
Yeah, lithium camera batteries.
Yeah.
Or
how cool
right.
is it?
I have JVC.
Has anyone ever tried reversing the polarity on the battery? So putting alligator clip wires to the positive and negative on the battery and to the device, and putting the positive to the negative and negative to the positive. Because I'm wondering if, since the batteries are completely drained, if they have a depolarization because of the activity in there. Because as soon as you get back, those batteries work again perfectly, right?
Right.
So I'm wondering if they're depolarizing while you're there.
They could be. Now, they would not work when I went back outside and put them in my car. They were not working. It's the trip back to Lexington that they were working.
Yeah, as soon as they get, we see that a lot.
But you were still on the grounds, so energy was still there.
Right. The energy would take a little while to leave you as well.
And you're right. You're right. That could definitely happen. We've actually seen cases. I mean, we've worked with different kinds of devices. I had a gentleman one time, really insane thing. Told him, I says, okay, this battery will last in this device for 10 days. And it was for an abductee, and it was kind of like a pre-warning device. We worked with a company down in Florida to help out. And they built a device for us and more on the picking up ions and the changes in ions and everything else in the atmosphere. he forgot to put batteries in the damn thing, and he left it. And 28 days later, left it on the whole time. 28 days later, he has an abduction experience, and before he has the abduction experience, the battery's charged in the damn thing, and the device goes off.
Somebody screwed up.
Yeah. So I mean, so it's like kind of going the play. Somehow it reversed positive energy, focused in on that, charged that damn battery to allow the device to go off, and you know, amazing stuff. I mean, this is something we can look at, and we need to look at it because there is a lot of odd things that are happening here on a basis. We have just regular AA batteries. I can put them in here, go back to go to Octane Hall. They will immediately discharge. I say, man, I just put this damn thing out. Get another one out, do it, and they're fine all night long. You know,
right?
And then you bring those batteries back and you stick them in something else, and they're working fine, you know. But for some reason, it will drain it. You know, their energy. You know, as we all know, they are searching for energy, so they'll take energy from anything. Cell phones. I mean, if you take a cell phone in the hall, we get so many people that tour the hall. I mean, it's a historical museum also, so it's open during the day for tours and everything else, and people will take snapshots with their phone and everything else, but their phone will go like zip and they'll be empty.
You
know,
and that, you know, I love
we've also, you know, I'll give you another example. We've also had people that get very ill. You know, they go into a room or they go someplace in the area where the energy is so thick that they get ill from it. And they'll say, oh, I can't handle it, I gotta go home. And they'll drive down the driveway, start getting back home, heading home, and they'll come back saying, hey, I feel great now.
Right? It's getting away from that energy.
That's what it was like walking
exactly,
towards those woods.
Exactly. That's all the part you're talking about, the negative and the positive, the energy switches.
Walking towards the woods.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
Michelle's case.
I'm gonna throw out a seriously awkward theory here, but so everybody knows the Philadelphia Project. Yep. Well, at least all you guys should know about the Philadelphia Project. Okay, so before they tested that on an entire ship of people, you aren't telling me that they didn't do any test runs on animals first, because that's what we do, right? So do you think maybe Bigfoot could just be a great ape that they did the test on?
Nope. There's my
opinion. I mean, and if you're looking at the history of, well, you know, if you're looking at the history of the foot, you know, and you take it back through Native American, it's been seen, and it's been all through that. It was a mystical creature to them. You know, they knew that they existed. Some of the tribes even, and I talked to a shaman in Oklahoma one time about it, and they were actually having mental telepathy thoughts with it. There are people in Georgia that also have it, you know, that are communicating with these beings on a different level, you know, and some of them come and they will have, you know, and I've had reports of, look, they like garlic, they like this, they'll bring stuff for them, they want salt, they want these kind of things, so, you know, but not to say that the Mantok monster and all this other stuff wasn't created by some government thing. You know, there's a lot of things out there, and we're opening up a can. You know, it's like opening a can of worms. Even when you go as deep as we can go, and you start thinking about the CERN project, right? You know,
right?
And now what? Where it's gone now. And they all of a sudden stop for some amazing reason. We don't want to do the Big Bang thing anymore. So what did they go into? Portals. Mm-hmm. You know,
Right,
and then
okay. I guess what I'm saying is technically thinking about that from like the Native American aspect and everything of people seeing them years ago before, like some kind of government experiment or something of that nature. If we take into account that a lot of those, like the Philadelphia, for instance, was also a space and time.
Yeah, well, what was it? Albert Beale, Bielik, that was involved with that. That goes back to Phil Snyder and some of his talks about that project. All of the things that were going in. Yeah, it's physically possible that who knows when you're playing with time and you're opening time warps, and we know for a fact, at least I believe in them, that there are portals and there are wormholes that are out there that we could access and travel in time with. Mm-hmm. And and all they did was open one of those portals, and the thing's transported back from one place into another, and then back to Norfolk, mm-hmm. And that's when you have the problems. And it's still, these people were disappearing. There's so many things about them being in a time and space warp that sometimes that they were still having the electronical effects from that kind of travel,
Mm-hmm. Jumping back to camera issues. I remember hearing cases back in 94, 95, 96 of abductees trying to set up home video cameras to catch the abduction happening. And they would wake up and the camera would be actually switched off.
Yes.
So they didn't know if it was the aliens turning the camera off or if the aliens made them get up in their sleep and turn it off. You remember hearing those kind of stories?
Yeah, I sure do, and I'll also go deeper into that. At one point, MUFON had a program out, which is very unusual. You don't hear them talk about it too much. It was called the Ambient Program.
Okay.
And currently right now you have MADAR, you have a lot of these different companies out here that are picking up different signals at different sources. But MUFON had a group of abductees that they put this machine in, which would allow them to be able to be monitored during abduction, and it had barometric pressure, other EMF, all the other different things. And it was actually on, back then, we didn't have the kind of devices, nowadays. Heck, they're just, sensor is just small. Mm-hmm. But it was actually on a Richter scale like paper, and it would do this, and they would pick up the information from that, and a lot of data came from it, but nothing ever happened with the data. The data was too hard to analyze. And I think if you go back through some of the MUFON manuals, you could actually find them talking about the Ambient Program, and I think you might be able to search the Ambient Program with MUFON actually on the web and be able to see some of this stuff. So, they were doing that too. We've heard a lot about abductees that have had cameras set up and the cameras were turned off and so forth like that. So, yeah, there's.
And I want to throw in there real quick too for any new listeners that are curious about abduction. The best book I picked up back in the 90s was by Dr. David Jacobs, and it was Secret Life of Alien Abduction. Best book I could have picked up when I was kind of thrown into this. And there's a lot of new material out, but it's so you can kind of see the bullshit through the truth with a lot of it anymore.
Right. There's been a lot of people that have written a lot of books about it and have changed it and looked at it, and you do see some stuff that is totally what I consider out of the norm.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, but
when the story changes from edition 2 to edition 5, you know there might be a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That's a quick. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna. So with that, you know, some changes are acceptable because you have new races that are coming down and doing abducting. I get that,
Mm-hmm.
but you could also kind of see through some of it.
Well,
I want to jump into, and we had a local that came and talked to Kayla, or was it you?
no.
She wanted to know about implants, which is why I wanted to bring up implants tonight. We were going to do it a couple weeks ago, and we got too busy talking. So I want to talk about implants tonight a little bit. So the implants I know about, she was curious about the holograph. So you have certain implants that are used for tracking. We know that.
Yes.
Most of those implants are in the nasal cavity, behind the ear, in the hands, the feet, the toes, the fingers. I think sometimes the arms. These are used usually for tracking. So an abductee can all of a sudden pack up their stuff and move to China. I won't say China. But they can move across the country and they can still be tracked by the aliens for abduction.
Right.
These are tracking implants.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the holograph implants. And to me, these are fairly new. I've had 3 different cases where the holograph implant was used. These are in the center of the brain. This particular person was asking about behind the eye. Now, personally, I've never heard of an implant behind the eye, but it could be the same one. Very easily.
Model 2.0.
I'd say model 1.0 because in the middle of the brain, I'd say is the more common one. So with these clients, we found they are always in a state of hologram. They visually see a hologram.
They're a GoPro.
Basically, yeah. But they have no control over it. Which makes it really hard to work. Really hard to drive.
You know, I think when you talk about an abductee with an implant like that, I can best explain it because of, from my own personal experiences.
Mm-hmm.
When you see this type of stuff, I would always call it would be like somebody putting if I was in this situation, I'll just tell you what I've experienced being on a craft, sitting on kind of like the edge of it. I never get to see who's on my left side of me. Mm-hmm. I can always see to the right side of me and everything else. But then what would happen is it felt like the person to the left of me put like I had a hole in my head and a DVD was put in my head. Huh. And then what you're looking at through your eyes, and it's like you're looking at it from the inside of your head and it's playing through your eyes, and your eyes are the screen. And it's inside your head. And it's like a dream state, but it is 4K HD things. And everything that I ever remember seeing was horrific.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was not a pleasant thing. It was destruction of the world as we know it, fighting, burning, lasers being fired, all this type of stuff. And you go like, what the heck is that? Can I have some ice cream with this, please?
Popcorn.
Yeah, popcorn, anything.
I've got a question for you. With that particular situation, did you find aliens in front of you watching you?
That's what I believe the guy on the left of him was doing, and was kind of monitoring the situation and doing that. I was cognizant to know that before this happened, I would hear screaming and yelling going on from other people being having other procedures done to them.
Right.
But this was later for me. We could talk about the milking devices and all the other stuff that went on, but this was a deal where you were just sitting there and it was like a screen image or a holograph, and it felt like it went right behind my head now through a few doctors that I've had, the concussions that I've had, and so forth. They find that, hey, guess what? There's some kind of mucus. There's something in your upper sinus cavity that is like mucus encased, and it is a metal object. How'd that get into your head?
Right.
You know. So I don't know if it's directly behind my eyes or not, but I can relate to that kind of thing, like a hologram type thing. Not the type of hologram that would be considered as Project Bluebeam, where they're beaming it up outside, or Michael Jackson's jumping around outside, and you're seeing him out light. But this is, and I've heard other abductees talk about it also. It is apocalyptic stuff that you watch, and you see these things over and over again in your mind, and it is so vivid that.
So that's different than the two cases we've dealt with. The two cases, and I'll talk about your case here in a second, but the two cases we've dealt with the holograph, it was they were home. They weren't on a ship or anything. It's just they're living their life and they're actually seeing a holograph. And through astral, they could actually see the implant in the center of the brain with this one. And we weren't going to mess with that because, well, even with astral, you don't want to mess with the energy and you don't want to mess with the brain, obviously.
Exactly.
That particular implant was used for like an information upload download.
Right.
Now, with abduction, so we know there's a science aliens, and they're the ones that are doing the experiments, the medical procedures. The ones you're talking about, it does sound like they're doing medical procedures as well. But I think when you're being shown the apocalyptic scenarios, is the social experiments, and they're watching your emotion when you're being shown these apocalyptic. And do you remember ever being shown like a field of flowers or something peaceful, or was it always apocalyptic?
For me, it was always apocalyptic. It still is. And one of the things that you mentioned one of the things that you'll find is that with abductees, they are very astral. I'm very astral also, and so I can have some of these times when I was doing this, I wasn't always on the ship. It would be, like a house. I mean, it would be like kind of going, they'd almost like put you to sleep almost. You're sitting there, you're ready to go for the whole day, you all of a sudden get druggy, you wake up and you go, wow, was that just asleep? And then you remember this crap going into your head. That was so bizarre. But yeah, I've had it happen in that situation, and I have it happen in the other situation also, where you are here in astral, but it's very strange, and I do believe 100%, Eric, what you're talking about as far as it being an emotional study, because I do believe that they do have an interest in our emotional things, because I don't believe that they have emotions. I don't think that they feel the emotions that we do.
I fully agree. I think it depends on the race, because some of them sympathize. Some of them don't want you to feel pain. The other ones don't really give a damn.
Right, exactly.
And they will break your legs and do their things, and they don't care, because for other ones, you're nothing but a snack or a food source, and those abductees don't come back. The third,
and there's a part to talk about, because that happens also. There are other abductees have seen them in cages, and they've seen them in different places, and see other people there. So.
Absolutely. The third implant, and I think I've talked to you about this one before, is specifically with hybrids. And these are the only three I really know anything about. If there's more, then by all means, if we have listeners that know about more other different types of implants, by all means, send us a message. But the hybrid implant. So we have had a couple cases where folks sought their kids, and based on timeline of pregnancy and timeline of childbirth, their children were hybrids or are hybrids. Now, if you are a hybrid, which meaning your DNA is partial alien, partial human, and you have a medical test done, in that kind of scenario, I would think your DNA would be obvious. So I do think there's an implant that they use specifically for hybrids to make your DNA appear normal. Otherwise, they're going to get found.
Let me give you my theory on it. It may be far off. You may agree or not agree with it. Through time, going back to the Sumerians and everything else, and beyond that, going back to the original 8 in the Bible, and talking about the kings that were here for 36,000 years at a time, it lived extremely long lives and everything else. Look, if we were adjusted and if we were taken and we were changed and we were given DNA from an alien or anything else, and we have gone through years and thousands of years of that, why wouldn't the DNA of us be the same DNA as them? And we keep on looking for alien DNA, but we are the aliens. Our DNA already has it in us. It was already done. So when you're looking at our DNA, all you're doing is seeing our DNA. You're not going to be able to tell the difference between a hybrid or not, because it's the same DNA.
And that's possible. That's absolutely possible too.
It's a thought that I've thrown out there many times. And one of the things about it is it's sad when you look at it and some of the things that have happened. There has been several people that have talked about the milking project, where they have been milked while they're males milked, and then females that have had different things happen to them and looked at. But one of the bizarre things about it is the cases that where women may have had an experience, they come back and they are pregnant, and then somewhere along the 4th month,
it's a 4-month gestation.
Right, there's a 4-month gestation. They are picked up back again, and they are woken up the next morning not being pregnant.
Absolutely, that's the Gray Hybrid program. But
that is the Gray Hybrid program.
But that's what I'm talking about today, because I've had 2 different clients where the woman knows she was abducted, and this is within the last 5-6 years that this has come out. The child in question would be about 13, 14 now. But at that point in time, it was a typical Gray Hybrid abduction, but now they're allowing the women to give childbirth down here on Earth.
Correct. Yes.
That's the change.
That's the progression of that whole thing. And that's where you're getting the now what we would consider the star children or whatever. They come out and they are extremely above average intelligence. These are the ones that are doing things at incredible ages and almost like savant in a way. They have some crazy abilities. They're just that much more intelligent. And those are the ones you're going to find that are going through high school when they're in college at 14,
Right. Doogie Howser.
Exactly.
Where'd you go, Mike?
I'm here.
Okay.
So I'm listening. I don't know anything about implants or any of that. So
okay. Have you ever met an abductee?
No, I haven't.
In your investigations. Okay. So how many UFO sightings have you investigated?
3.
3. Okay.
Yeah.
And what were your findings?
So the one that I told you about earlier, which was just massive, and then the other 2 were lights in the sky, and they were inconclusive as to what they could have been.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, I have people that call me and say, "Hey, this was going on."
And that's what we need. So if you actually have a valid UFO landing site, so we have EMF radiation and we have actual nuclear radiation, which obviously your EMF is going to pick up the EMF, and a Geiger counter is going to pick up the other.
Right.
I've actually been to one site, not a UFO site. It was a hunting site where we actually picked up our EMF and our Geiger both went off at the same time. That's two different kinds of radiation. You don't want the Geiger one to go off. Yeah. That's not a good thing.
Right. Well, we used to think that we used to think if a portal would open or something would cause some of that would cause the radiation, the Geiger would go off.
Right.
Sometimes during EVPs, when you're studying your EVPs, you ever notice that sometimes you'll hear a very light EVP and behind it you'll hear another EVP which is louder?
Right.
And it's like it's breaking a barrier. Now, during that time when you see that, that's when we would find that you would maybe be able to pick up an anomaly with the Geiger counter. Because something breaks that veil or that interdimensional field that has that, we have talked about it. Are we exposed to radiation when we are at certain sites that happen? What happens to a lot of the people? If you study, they have neuropathy. They have all kinds of different other problems. So maybe that could be that. We see an increase in neuropathy. We see an increase in nerve damage and so forth. So
and that falls right in line with dangers of the paranormal. I mean, that's part of the training we've always taught investigators.
Exactly.
You don't know what you're walking into when you get a case.
Right. We always say that too.
And that's the difference between the teams that go to hotspots and the teams that actually handle clients.
Right.
Say again?
Can't you get Geiger readings off of radon, though?
That one I'm really not sure about.
You can get, and we've used radon, and we've checked for radon and so forth like that. We have radon detectors. Mm-hmm. We have all that kind of stuff when you're looking at it, and it does affect different things, and it does have a different effect on each thing. But, when you're talking about the difference between going to a Waverly, a Nottingham Hall, these type of places versus the most dangerous type of investigation is the ones that are residentials. And my God, we do a ton of residentials.
Oh yeah.
And and when we're on it, that's the most wickedest thing. You never know what you're working into. We try to do
absolutely.
We try to do a pre-investigation if we can to be able to walk through it just to get a feel of it. Or we'll deal with some excellent psychic people who are actually astrally or doing the things that your group used to do to give us a heads up on it and see what we can find out. Plus, we do so much serious research about the history of the place.
Right.
And I tell a lot of people in paranormal, I mean, look, this is the most dangerous field you want to be into. I mean, it's not a party atmosphere and everything
not
else.
Just that, but when you're dealing, that's the difference. There's two kinds of teams. There's the evidence team that goes to nothing but hotspots. There's the emergency response team, which is the one that goes to clients' homes.
Yes.
And, you can't, when you're on the emergency response side of it, you can't do a background check on your client. You don't have time.
No, right, exactly.
Usually you respond. You don't know if you're walking into a criminal issue, a domestic violence issue, a drug issue. You don't know. You
Clockwork Orange issue.
You just don't know.
Right, exactly. You don't know. We did it. I mean, it's like, holy cow.
I have a situation at my house where I see more haunting evidence here than I did up at Waverly. Both my parents have died in this house. I had a little sister that died in this house and a little brother that died in this house. My little brother was 48, and he was always making coffee. I have seen a Folgers coffee container raise up off the counter, move over to the floor, and drop at least 5 times.
Oh, but you know who that is.
So,
oh yeah,
yeah, I know that's Ed. But Mike lives here now with me because I'm a little goofy about being clumsy, so I have to have somebody around. And he's seen shadow people. Him and his girlfriend have seen shadow people in here, and I see out of the corner of my eye every once in a while shadows.
Now, shadow people are interesting, or shadows in general are interesting, because shadows can be, you have to look at a whole, again, talking about patterns, aliens can be a shadow.
Right.
The Fey realm can come a shadow. So Fey, that's a whole other topic. I mean, we've talked about Fey on this show many different times.
Exactly.
A lot of paranormal teams, they're well versed in the spirit. They're well versed in the entity. They don't think about fairies. Not by any means.
Right, exactly. The elemental side is out there, folks. I mean, it's true.
And I say fairies, but
I have
fairies are only one type of
I have
fae.
2 friends up in the Cascades that see that a lot.
Oh yeah. We have fae all around up here.
Yeah.
It's really funny when you look at the paranormal in these cases and stuff like that. Like you said, Mike. We go to houses. We can bring stuff back. We have some things that may come back that are not nice. You got to get rid of them. And then other times, just like when you go into a house, you can negotiate with these people and say, "Look, I don't want you. You don't have to do certain things to them. You can talk to them and say, look, they don't want you.
Sure.
The family doesn't want you to leave. They don't want you to do this. You can be here, but you have to respect them. This is now their house. This is the things that you do." But there are people, like you said, the people that come in and they go, that are not used to being in that type of atmosphere, and they automatically go, "Oh my God, I saw a black shadow. That's got to be a demon,"
Yeah.
They coordinate things like it's black. It's got to be bad,
And that's what kills me, because out of 5 to 6 cases a day, we might have handled one demon out of a year.
Yeah,
that's how rare demons are.
They're very rare. We just worked one, and believe me, when you're in that type of situation, and they are not your life is in danger when I'll tell you.
Absolutely.
And through the times that we have dealt with it, and they're few and far between. But boy, when you run onto what we consider to be a true demon, everybody wants to be a demonologist. Everybody wants to be one of these things. But man, let me tell you something. I've seen demonologists that will turn around and go, "Wait a minute." They're like, "See you later."
Okay, we're down to 7 minutes left. So real quick, Mike, where can we find Myth Chasers Investigation?
Well, right now on the Facebook page, and any events that I have are announced there. Okay. Also, if you'll look up Connie's on the Road project on BlueRockTalk.tv, you'll find a lot of adventures that we have there.
Excellent. That was my next question. Where do we find Blue Rock Talk? Right.
BlueRockTalk.tv.
Outstanding. It was awesome having you on the show. Barry, where can we find where can we find Into the Fire and your team?
Well, you can find Night Stalkers Paranormal on Facebook. We're currently right now working on our website. It's down at the moment, but it's nightstalkersparanormal.org when it comes back up. We're also you can find us at Octagon Hall Museum. Octagon Hall, great place to come if you want to do a paranormal investigation. We also offer novice hunts there. That's www.octagonhallmuseum.com. You can find me on blogtalkradio.com/Into the Far every Tuesday night, 8 to 10 Central Time. We go all over the country like you guys do. And by the way, I've got to have you guys out that way. MUFON. You can throughout the whole country. You can report to www.mufon.com. They have a reporting center there. You can also report to MUFON Kentucky, and my email is available at that also. So there's a lot of ways you can get a hold of me and talk to me. And Eric also has a Facebook page, Eric Mitchell. And you may be able to find me also as a Kentucky Truth Seeker. I use that Edmund quite a lot also. So, and we appreciate it. Always enjoy being on here on S4, and you guys always rock it out. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity.
It's always fun having you guys on. Okay, so next week we are going to do a roundtable. Throughout all this chaos of this pandemic, it's hard to track time. So we are doing roundtable next week. What?
Rectangle table.
A rectangle table?
It allows more social distancing.
Okay, oh, yeah. Gotta have 6 feet apart. So we gotta have, yeah. That makes more sense. So we will have rectangle table next week. And hell, we might have Barry and Mike back on. We'll see. I have to put this together.
Be awesome.
They can represent Kentucky. All right.
There you go.
This has been great, Eric. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, of course. We always have fun. I've been trying to get you on the show for about a month now?
Month and a half, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, you're always busy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, I have a tax office, but it's slowed down now, obviously.
Good.
Don't forget to check our website, www.s-4radio.com, for all your paranormal gear that you need.
And we might actually go up on Cumberland this week and look for Bigfoot.
I think so. I think it's time.
Oh.
I think I need to get out of the house.
Thank you, everyone, for coming on the show tonight. Stay tuned for Roundtable next week. Make sure you wash your hands. Keep your... just stay home, folks.
Yeah.
Stay home. That's all you got to do. Stay home and wash your hands.
Stay home. Listen to the freaking archives.
Keep your eye. So, y'all have a safe week. And, keep your social distancing. And keep your eyes to the skies.
Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.